Oh my God.
Did you watch that back? Like, did you watch that podcast?
Nah, I didn't. But, I mean, the whole thing was so like vivid for me because I'm like, okay, think about
that was the Twilight Zone.
Well, think about how happy I was to get a Shane Dawson interview.
Yeah.
You know, that's huge. That's like that's amazing. That's like anybody who does interviews. That's super big, like to get a Shane Dawson interview. And then all the dumbest things that could ever happen all happened. And
then you never got the Shane Dawson interview.
But like the first like 40 minutes of us talking was super good. We were just, you know, he's such a fun person to talk to because he's so open. Like, God, I was watching him talk about how he has always wanted to get fucked in the ass since he was super young with
you.
He
didn't say that on the podcast.
On your thing that you did with him. He's like,
it?
he's just straight up like from day one, I just wanted stuff in my butt. I'm like, oh my God.
Put a Coke, was it a Coke bottle or something?
He said he broke it or something and like cut his butt.
Yeah. Shane's a wild dude.
He is, right? But it's like a weird, he has multiple aspects to his personality, I guess. He's such an interesting person to try to figure out. And I like watching him do the Jeffree Star thing was just fascinating. Like,
yeah, I actually haven't watched that one yet.
Really?
Yeah, because I know that when you do it, it's going to be a time commitment, and I have to binge everything. Like if I'm watching a show, I'm going to watch it straight through. So I'm like, okay, when do I have 3.5 hours for this series? So I haven't seen it.
But it was incredible, and like I mean, Jeffree Star just fascinating human being.
Oh, I agree. I think that he's very, just like in general, outside of anything that he covered in there, I just think that he's very interesting. I've been a fan of Jeffree since 2005, probably.
Really?
Yeah, I was huge on, like, I loved MySpace. So I used to watch him on MySpace, and I was very aware of his music career because I liked it. Like, I used to listen to it. I set it as my MySpace profile song.
See, I was like pretty ignorant of Jeffree Star up until I watched this Shane thing. So it's like, for me, it was kind of like, holy shit, that dude who always had all the makeup on MySpace is this rich and successful and like insanely smart and savvy.
Yeah, it's really
wild. I had no
wild.
idea.
I think it's interesting that he went from being so relevant on the internet, on MySpace, to pretty much completely disappearing for so long. And now, again, he's one of the biggest faces. So he's like going in these waves of being at the top. And then just, it's so interesting to me.
I really found all like, because I had always heard like, oh, Jeffree Star's racist. There's some stuff about him being racist or whatever. And I always assumed it probably wasn't that bad. But then like seeing it in the Shane thing, it seemed really unconvincing.
What did they show in the Shane thing?
Oh, right. You haven't seen it. I mean, there was like a really old clip of him dressed as a woman, and he's saying something about like throwing acid on a girl's face.
Yeah.
But in context, it really didn't seem like a racial thing at all. It just seemed like...
That was a sketch, yeah.
Yeah.
My whole thing with anybody that I meet, and I mean particularly with Jeffree too, is obviously I've like heard stories, but I try very hard to not make a judgment on anybody until I meet them.
Right.
I've never personally met Jeffree, so I won't make a judgment on his character. I'm sure there's a lot of nasty rumors about me that people would say about me, and I would hope that people would want to talk to me before they ever believe them. So that's where I stand with Jeffree. I've never met him, and I'd like to a lot. I DM'd him and I said I'd love to talk to you like one-on-one as a person, and I stand by it.
Yeah. Do you think that that is kind of a weird aspect of being in our world today, is that damn near everybody has had some crazy ass controversy that if you were to just buy in on it, you would think you would buy in on it? Like, for instance, James Charles, Tana.
Me.
I think we're both friends with them. Yeah, me too, for sure. Like all these people, like, I mean, you would have to eliminate a lot of great people from your life.
Yeah, and it's such a weird dichotomy too, because a lot of people, like when we have these social interactions, I actually touched on this on the internet recently, but like, who are your friends and like, what is your business relationship? And like, am I going to support this person, but also am I supporting them publicly or behind the scenes? And what means more to that person? And what is their relationship to me? And would they do the same? And it's so convoluted and stressful because it's hard to find genuineness or know what is genuine here. So like with Tana, like I have a soft spot for Tana.
Me too.
I always will, but that girl pisses me off so bad sometimes.
Why? Was Tanacon pissed you off?
Yeah, but other stuff too. Just like I've known the girl for years, and every single time something happens with her, like I'm on FaceTime with her and I'm talking to her and I'm just like, girl, like, learn. Please learn.
She needs, yeah, I don't know. Actually, I feel like I haven't like had like a deep conversation with her in a few months, so I kind of don't know where she's at post Tanacon, or like what kind of changes that maybe has affected her personality. Usually when I see her now, it's like rolling around on the floor in Bella Thorne's bedroom or something, which is fine.
I've had a lot of like really deep heart-to-hearts with Tana. We went to Greece for like a week together recently, and we had these very long plane rides together. And those moments of her are my favorite moments, where there's no camera, there's no makeup. She's not trying to be cute. She's not trying to do anything except for have a conversation. And one thing I will always say about Tana is that girl will like listen to you until the cows come home. Like if I needed to vent about something, she literally listened to me talk for 6 hours straight about the same thing, and she will listen and she will support you.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you yeah, because I mean I feel like out here it's very easy for people to sort of get caught up in the web of clout and followers and money and just attention and just views and bullshit, and like you seem like a pretty genuine person. Like do you oftentimes feel we did the thing that I was just describing. I was talking about how during the G Herbo interview, who is a quite gangster rapper, we did a couple of awkward knee taps, and she just sort of her toe touched my calf.
Sorry,
I just want to clarify that. Yeah, she's pissed.
Anyways, as you were saying.
Yeah, I don't know. You seem like a pretty genuine person. Do you often feel sort of like overwhelmed by that's just all this insanity that everybody's kind of wrapped up in this world?
Yeah, and I think that's why you don't really see me with people on the internet, and I think with a lot of friendships, you see it blasted everywhere, and a lot of people actually, I think, have the perception of me that I'm alone all the time and I don't have friends, and that's actually so far from the truth. I actually think I have more genuine, real friends in my life right now than I've ever had, and it's because I don't show them. So like when I'm with those people, I know that the people that are reaching out to me and spending time with me are with me because they love me, they support me, they bring me up. They're not looking for a tag, they're not looking for content, they're not looking for clickbait, they're not looking for anything except for my time. And my life has just been so fulfilled and happy, and I feel just full of life and energy and love. And it was when I stopped having the social media public relationships that really happened for me.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling because, you know, you like the people you're probably going to relate to most in the world are people who do similar things to you, and people who are influencers, content creators on YouTube, that kind of thing. So then like you hang out with those people, and the most logical thing for you to do together is like make content, but then you sort of like get into this weird thing where you're just sort of like using each other for your value, and like, or you notice like the dynamic that unfolds where when people who people post pictures with on Instagram says a lot about what they're like as a person. Like if you only ever see people post photos with people who are more famous than them, that's like a weird thing where it's like kind of like purely aspirational. Whereas I have some friends,
or show offy,
right? I have some friends who will post a photo with their homie who's got 1,500 followers all day, and it's nothing to them. And that's just like a very different mind state. One is very like social climber, and one is very like, this is actually what I'm doing. Yeah.
And my Instagram is actually all me, which makes me feel some type of way when I look at it. I'm like, oh, I'm very full of myself.
Right.
But at the same time, like I said, like my friends who don't have followers, I'm not posting them because they're not famous enough. I'm not posting them because in my head now, I always know that they're not doing it because, oh, one time I hung out with Gabbie and she posted a picture and I got 4,000 followers that day.
Right.
So to me, I just love having that separation because the waters get really muddied. Like you said, like if you're hanging out with somebody who's, you know, on social media, it's like, oh, well, should we like post something to the story about it? Like, should we tell people? Like, I want people to know that I'm associating with this person. And it's just, dude, it's so muddy. It's so messy.
Right. Do you feel that problem with people like that you grew up around, in the sense that you feel like it's almost hard for you to hang out with them or relate to them because they sort of don't have the same vision of who you are because they're looking at your success online and everything?
I guess it doesn't really apply to me too much because everybody that I really grew up with is still back in Pennsylvania, so I don't really see them. But they're very supportive. Like they'll send me messages saying, we're so proud of you. But my best friend in the world is actually somebody I grew up with, and she lives up the street from me now, which is totally accidental when I got my apartment here. But she's known me my whole life, so I know she's somebody who's not just like climbing, and she's always loved me. She loved me when I first moved out here and had nothing, and she loves me now.
That's amazing. So you started, well, you said that you were on MySpace, but like, were you actually like really into MySpace, or was it Vine when you actually started to like pick up steam?
Definitely Vine that I picked up steam. On MySpace, I thought it was so cool because I had 1,000 friends. And I was taking the angle pics, and I was like, remember when you used to code your MySpace?
Oh yeah.
So intensely. So I would like code it so you couldn't see my comments and you had to comment in a comment box. But it was definitely Vine. Like nobody cares about my MySpace. 27?
27.
I know, I look 18.
Yeah,
no.
you do look quite young. No, but you're 7 years younger than me, so like you were definitely looking at MySpace from a slightly different angle.
Oh, yeah.
Because myself, like I was sort of like, nah, fuck that. I'm not doing anything to my profile. And I remember the only time I ever changed my profile was because there was like a Mob Deep background on the G Unit page that you could download, and I decided like, fuck it, I'm gonna try this. Oh man,
You were what, 22 then ish? Like you were in your 20s when MySpace was popping?
MySpace, yeah, I remember MySpace got real going right when I got into college, because I went to college for 2 years, so I guess I was like 19 when it first started popping. But I remember the Friendster wave as well, which was a fun
I was too young for Friendster.
That was a fun little 6 months.
Good times. Zanga.
Zanga wasn't on. Live Journals where I started to flourish online when I was like 15.
Remember Live Journal. Like, I never had one.
It was exactly like Zanga.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that they were like clones of each other or something.
The good times, the simpler times.
The simpler times. When I look back at that, though, when you look at those early days on MySpace or whatever, don't you kind of feel like you were preparing for what you do now in a sense? Like
God.
Getting prepared to present yourself to the world and just get feedback, even if at that time it was you posting cute selfies with like the exposure completely blown out and everything, so you couldn't see like 14-year-old acne.
So on brand.
Is this true? Because that was
Well, I never had acne, God bless, but I was not cute.
Okay.
I never smiled in a picture because my teeth were so fucked up.
Really?
They were so bad.
You got
dude.
braces later on, or?
I had braces and Invisalign twice, and they're still not straight.
They're pretty straight. Those are great.
This one.
I think they're similar to mine.
This one kills me. It's
Really?
So crooked.
Do you
yeah.
get them whitened?
No, I used
thought
to,
about
and
it.
now my teeth are so fragile from whitening them so much that I just have to deal with the yellow. Like this one's so much yellower than any of these.
Wow, you're pointing out shit I don't even notice. That's crazy.
Isn't it nuts how much people pick out their flaws? It's wild, dude.
I mean, we were having that conversation the other day about the importance of like having good teeth, just in the sense of how people will like judge you. Like, I'll throw my girlfriend under the bus, but she pointed at like this girl when we were at the strip club, and she's like, I can't talk, like I can't make out with that girl. Her teeth are all fucked up. She looks like a meth head. And I was just
what's fucking wild,
but
though?
that's like the connotation now. If you have bad teeth, people think that you're a meth
But
head.
here's where it gets
My
so
name
fucked
is
up, and
Adio
I hate the
FEO,
world,
and here
is
is my
if you
music
have bad
video
teeth-
called Happy
Okay, let's
Healthy
say what
Vegan
braces are.
Gains.
You spend thousands of dollars. You go through years of pain for what?
Right.
Cosmetic. Purely.
Just
most
to
of the
make these
time.
pieces of bone sit in order.
Yeah. Most of the time it's just cosmetic. Sometimes there's something where like, oh, food's getting caught in it or it's messing up your jaw, whatever. Most of the time it's cosmetic. But if somebody wants to do the same thing and get a nose job or a boob job or lipo or whatever it is, then they're attacked for it. And it's like, well, realistically, you're spending less time. You're probably spending less money. The healing process is way quicker and easier. So why are you attacking somebody for getting a boob job when if somebody didn't get braces, you would make fun of them?
Yeah, it's so crazy that our society views it that way. I mean, like just like where we've gotten to as a society in terms of what's viewed as normal is, on one hand, is mind blowing. Just that, like, you know, like I remember even like 10 years ago living in New York, that it's just like I did not know any girls with fake boobs.
I mean,
Out here, it is so
everybody-
common.
Yeah.
It's like beyond common. Yeah.
And who cares?
No, and I don't care. Yeah, and I don't have any kind of negative feeling towards that at all. It's to the point where it's like mind blowing when I read comments of kids who are like shaming girls for that kind of thing. It's just like, how could you be so fucking behind in terms of like your thinking of this?
And what does it come from, too? And I mean, I guess hate in general. Like, I just saw a comment on my last post. It was literally just a post of me posing, like, in my music video type setup outfit. And this girl was like, how full of yourself do you have to be to, like, post this many selfies of you, whatever? And I went to her page, and she had, like, all of her pictures were just selfies of her in her underwear. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
It's just confusing. Like, why... I could understand if she was somebody who thought she was like so humble and doesn't do those things, but you're literally posting pictures in your underwear for all of your pictures, and you're coming at me for posting pictures in a turtleneck?
Right.
Because I'm too confident? Is that the problem? Because I'm clearly happy with myself? Unhappy people hate happy people, period. That's it.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Can you imagine, like, and it's hard for us to like get into that mind state and everything, but can you imagine just being like dead broke and you're just watching YouTube channels and you're looking
I can, because I was there.
Right, fair, very fair. But I was never that person that was looking at somebody who was like successful or doing well and that was like mad because I was like, they have no talent. But it seems like people like very easily slide into that way of thinking about life. It's very easy to go from like such different perspectives. Like when I found out about Tana, she was like an 18-year-old girl making weird videos about getting fucked with toothbrushes, screaming into the camera. But I was so hyped just because I was like, dude, this girl is super fucking good at what she does, even if it has nothing to do with me. Like, my girlfriend always points out the fact that I showed her Tana's videos the day I met her, and I was like, you could do this.
Really?
Isn't that cute?
That's how you met Lena? Oh my God.
And now we're friends with her. It was unrelated. No, actually,
love that.
I met her. We went out drinking. We had sex. Then in the morning, I showed her some of Tana's videos and was like, you could do this. Like this is like, if this girl could do this, like you could definitely do this too.
Is that what started her whole like career? Because she's huge on the internet stuff, like all the shit she does with like her merch and like all of that shit.
Yeah.
Is that what started that? Was like,
when I
could do this?
Yeah, that's like the kind of the tie that binds, in a sense. We were just having a conversation with this earlier, just in the sense that, you know, when you come up with somebody, it's very hard to like get away from that. And like, you know, when I met her, I had 40,000 followers and she had 40,000 followers, and she had just started to like, you know, get a little bit popping on Instagram from like taking cute photos or whatever. And she was like really kind of thinking about doing the private snap thing, the cam girl thing. And I was like, you should do it, just because like I know how much money you're making right now, and I know how much happier you'd be if you were able to like do your own thing and travel and everything. And I got her into doing the YouTube stuff and everything too. I don't want to act like I'm her fucking savior, but yeah, like,
no, but you guys build each other up in a way that like you both bettered each other and encourage each other, and sometimes people need to be pushed, or else you're not going to go anywhere.
She definitely needed it. She was just sort of like insecure and like just was sort of scared to take that step of it. When I was looking at the other day, like her first ever video that we made of her together, and she's so nervous on camera, and it's like so hard for me to even imagine that with her
like
now.
Like YouTuber, like cam stuff.
YouTuber. Like I set up the camera and everything and was like telling her like, okay, talk about this and everything.
It was probably more awkward with you there.
That was definitely a huge factor, but I didn't realize that at the time, but yeah.
Yeah, I could never film one of my YouTube videos in front of someone. I can't even, but I still edit all my own shit, which is killing me slowly inside because it's so time consuming.
Right.
But I can't give somebody my raw footage.
You can't.
No.
Really?
It's so embarrassing to watch. It's so cringy. Like I'll be talking and in the middle of a sentence being YouTubey, and then I'll be like, just like fixing my hair in the viewfinder. It's so cringy. And then like, I script my story times out now. Like they're still true stories, but I write them down now because I think that they're easier to follow if I actually thought it out and plotted it, as opposed to spitting at the camera.
Right.
So like me delivering one line 40 times so that it is natural is really hard to watch.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it's hard to watch, but I mean, I do that all the time and just hand it to my editor. And then by the time he gives me a draft to watch, all the weirdness is gone. So it doesn't even occur to me that he's watching me try to say the same ad read like 8 times in a row.
That makes sense. You just got to find someone you really trust.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what sucks, is that once you find somebody you really trust, they typically tend to realize that you really trust them and that they're really important to you. And then they start to like burrow their way into your life, and you can't just use somebody cheap anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens.
Damn them.
I mean, but do you think that you could ever have that relationship with someone, like in terms of a editor, or do you think that it's worth it for you? Because I look at your editing style and it feels so personal.
It is really personal. There's a lot of personal choices in it, but I think that if you get an editor who has your similar personality, and editors can also really elevate your work a lot. I had somebody edit a couple of my old videos, and I elevated my editing to what he was doing, not the way he was doing it, because he's way better. But like it inspired me to do more visually, graphically, like stuff like that. And I mean, my editing's not great. I can barely do anything. But I think the more I expand outside of YouTube, like I'm just not going to have the time. I have no idea when I'm going to edit this next week's video because I'm doing so much, especially with the music stuff happening right now. When am I going to spend 13 to 20 hours editing my fucking face? And I'm so sick of my face.
Right.
So much.
Are you really? You have a hard time watching your shit?
Yeah, watching it, listening to it, you just get so tired of yourself, man. Like I think
it has a negative impact on my like mind state to like be staring at myself for that long. Yeah.
And do you ever hate yourself a little for being so self-absorbed?
Yeah, but at the same time, I realize that like this is what I have to. This is the kind of person I have to be, like to run a YouTube channel that's very popular about yourself. You have to be fucking obsessed with yourself, and like in a weird way, I think that the challenge is to get comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think I've struggled a lot with that recently, and I'm getting a little better at it because now I feel like I'm actually creating things that matter a little more. But when I was just, what am I going to do this week? Because when you're just not inspired and you have to post, I'm like, I'll do my makeup with my hair. Like just something that's so YouTube-y. And then you're like editing it back and you're just like, okay, so I woke up, I filmed myself, and now I'm editing myself, and now I'm watching myself back 40 times, and now I'm going to post myself, and then I'm going to read comments about myself, and I'm going to watch people share and like myself, and then I'm going to beg people to like myself. And I got stuck in this brain of like, I need to do something better or more important or something. And I don't know, therapy.
But do you feel like the music is that, or do you think it's like the evolution of your YouTube content, or what do you think has like been more fulfilling to you than what you were doing at a certain point?
I think both. I think that I was kind of just stuck in the rut in general of, oh wow, when I talk closer, it sounds way better.
Isn't that cool?
Sorry. I think I was just stuck in the rut of generally not feeling inspired, and I was like very depressed and very anxious, and I was just going through a time where I wasn't excited to create, and I think that it really showed in my content. But then when I like posted my like roast yourself with that like thing at the end, that was spoken word. And then when I posted my music, that to me feels important. And like, it's actually, even if it's not changing the world, it's saying something that matters to somebody as opposed to a YouTube challenge or something, or like a dumb story time.
Right. But do you feel sort of detached from the fact that there's probably a lot of like young girls in particular out there that watch your videos of you talking about things that are pretty whatever, but that for some reason gives them this huge amount of solace and like comfort that they feel like you're their best friend? I mean, I'm sure you've done plenty of fan meetups and stuff where you realize the enormity of how many people you've affected.
Yeah. I mean, I do try to hold on to that a lot too, but then I also get back into my self-loathing hole of like, oh, these people, like, they love me and they're so excited to meet me and I don't deserve it. There's more important people. There's people who are saving lives. Like, they should be excited about that and not me. And it's more of like a self-esteem and self-worth thing, which is something that I've definitely been working on. And I feel much better about it now. And now I do feel like I deserve what I have. But for a while, I was definitely in this hole of, you don't love me. You don't even know me. Like, right. You would hate me because I hated myself. So I'm like, why do these people love me and I hate me? Kind of thing. We just got real dark over here on No Jumper.
No, but I feel you because I've seen my girl go through that too, because she sort of like came up really fast and like she just had these insecurities of like, why do people like give a fuck about me like that? I'm just a girl who can talk on camera a little bit and I'm attractive or whatever. And then she just like had that sort of insecurity about it, which to be honest, I really don't have, because from my perspective, when I look at like a 16-year-old or a 20-year-old kid who's obsessed with my shit, I completely get it. Cause it's like, I have those kind of people in my life. Like, I fucking watch Joe Rogan's interviews and it actually means a lot to me. Like, if I met him, the way I would act to him, the way I would want to act to him in my head that I probably would not, is pretty much exactly like how kids act to me outside the store, you know?
Yeah. I think that was actually like a moment that I had recently that made me really, really, really realize that and feel better about it. Was I love Bo Burnham. He's my inspiration in everything. Like, my entire career happened because of him.
We just saw 8th grade.
I went to the screening with him while he was there.
It was pretty great.
It was like insane because he's my idol forever. I wrote my poetry book because Bo wrote a poetry book. He gave me like the courage to publish poetry. So like, I gave him my book to his face. And that was a moment of like, oh, like, this is what those kids feel when they meet me. And then I understood it. Like, he inspired me. He changed me. He gave me strength, and like, I understood what he was saying, and watching him struggle with the same stuff that I struggled with and being so open about it on stage, I was like, this is what this is. And then everything kind of shifted. But
that's what's so, that is what I sometimes think about, is that effect that he had on you, you have without question had that on, at the very least, thousands of people. But if you were to sit around and think about that and really try to like soak that in, you would end up spending so much time sort of like absorbed in the enormity of what you've accomplished. And that really is not like a healthy thing, to sit around and think about all the lives that you've changed and stuff. It's just not, it's not like a productive or healthy thing to sit around thinking about. But sometimes I do feel that way, just in that, like, you know, reading a bunch of comments in a row that are like really people who are moved, or when you do like some kind of meetup and you just have people over and over telling you how much your content means to them. And it's this tricky balance, because that is kind of like the most amazing thing in the world, but I also just don't think it's healthy for me to focus on.
It's the self-obsession that you need to like hide from.
And they're just playing into it. They're hyping it up worse than they could ever know.
There's a lot of questions too that I would come up that would affect me. Talked about this in therapy, nobody worry. But like, when you look back at your accomplishments and like, okay, so say you put out a book and people are like, this is incredible, you're so talented, we love you so much, and then you're a bestseller and you're like, this is great, and then you almost don't feel accomplished. Like, I can say I'm a New York Times bestseller, but is it because I'm good, or is it because I have, like, you know, fangirls who will buy my shit no matter what? Same thing with my music. Like, it was successful, people loved it. Do they love it because it's good, or do they do it because they'll hype me up no matter what I'll put out? So that's like another thing where I'm just like, am I talented or am I just overhyped? Because then you also see the comments where people are just like, her fans hype her. And I'm like, oh yeah, they do.
I mean, but I feel like no matter where you get in your career, you're probably always going to have some degree of that, like in the sense that like Cardi B is still having the conversation of like, is she a valid performer to some extent, regardless of the fact that she's ridiculously successful at this point, you know? And like people are still, and she's still forced to some extent to engage in this conversation about if what she's doing is valid just because she was like an online entertainer before she rapped, which is crazy to me.
It is so crazy, but that just goes to show like her fan base is so wild because the internet fan base is so much stronger than any mainstream fan base because we built our audiences on personality. That's why people love Cardi. Love her music. She's great. But the reason that she is where she is, and I think she said this on her live stream, probably the one that you're referring to where she was defending herself against Nicki.
Right.
She said like, a label can't make people love you. There's 90,000 people in this stream right now. Those are people who love me because they got to know me. And there's something to say for that. And I think that a lot of like mainstream people are just scared, and haters on the internet are just salty. I don't know. What am I even saying?
No, but I mean, people have been having that conversation a lot lately too. Just the conversation of, online influencers are, you know, more valuable than they get treated, in the sense that like certain people who are
Phil talking about
that, people who are sort of brought up in more of like a mainstream like industry way get treated as if they have a lot more value, when in reality like someone like you or Tana might in reality be able to like change people's opinions about a brand or a product in a way that's like way more significant than people that are more famous technically. And I also think there's something to be said for the fact that I actually responded to James Charles' tweet with this, where he said like, to you, what's the difference between a mainstream celebrity and a YouTube celebrity if they have like the same engagement, same followers, whatever? And my take on it is somebody in mainstream made it because somebody told them, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. Right. And that's like, you know, do you know somebody, or you had one good audition, or somebody, you went
whatever.
out and took your chance.
We did it. Yeah. We believed in ourselves. They had people who believed in them. We believed in ourselves. We did it. We put in the work, and we built it from the ground up with no help. And I think that is powerful, and way more powerful than somebody who, well, no, I would say they're equal. Like somebody who went on an audition and nailed it, or somebody who just ground up worked. Right. There are a lot of horrible people on the internet too. Oh yeah, very true. Well, I think it's one, like the way that conversation played out around the whole Kylie Jenner, is she self-made thing, I thought was pretty interesting, because it's like you can't ignore the enormity of what she's accomplished with that brand. And I'm totally ignorant about makeup and everything, but reading that article, like, it's pretty amazing. She has a lot of siblings who haven't done that. There's a million rich kids who haven't done that. You know, I agree. It's super easy to sit in your laurels when you're some rich kid, but then at the same time, like if I made $1 billion, somebody's going to say about me, like, he's not self-made because, you know, his parents like had a house for him to live in and they gave him food when he was a kid. And Kylie's not self-made. Right. She's very successful, and I have always defended the Kardashians, and I always will, because people say like, oh, well, you're famous on a sex tape. Yeah, a lot of people have a sex tape. Where are they? Right. Kim Kardashian made an empire. I think they're very entertaining. At the end of the day, they are entertainers, and they are entertaining. Whether you love them or you hate them, they entertain you in some way. Kylie, however, entertaining, very successful, very smart with what she did. She did something her sisters haven't done. Not even Kim has done what she did with her makeup line, but she's not self-made. Right. Because you can't have millions of dollars to start with and all the clout and a TV show to start with and say you're self-made. True. I mean, it's sort of a bastardization of the self-made claim. Like, that's not what I would want to call myself if I was in her position, just because you know how much ridicule that's going to bring with it. I don't think she did. I'm sure it was Forbes who decided on that cover and stuff. She didn't. That's why I also like want to defend Kylie on that, because Kylie never came out and said, I'm a self-made bitch, I did this on my own. Forbes did. Right. And that was their bad. But there's like a whole, like, where you start is really not your fault. Like exactly. Where I started was close enough to not really starting from anything, that if I, you know, accomplish whatever, I can kind of say self-made, whatever. At the end of the day, it's like, if I have a kid, my kid's going to be rich. That's like my problem. Like, it's like, there's no way around it. A lot of people have that problem in LA. And you'll give them everything. And it sucks, but I'll probably have to give them everything. Yeah. Yeah. And who good for fucking your kid, because that's why you worked hard. But that's sad, because it's like, then he's, no matter what he accomplishes in his life, he's never going to be able to like get away from the fact that his dad, like, to get past that. And I've seen it go both ways. I know a kid who is the son of like one of the most successful people in the music industry, and he totally became like a heroin addict, all this crazy shit. Yeah. Like, you know, it's like he, like, somehow I feel like he was crushed under the weight of his father's importance, you know? Yeah, I think that it could go either way. I think that you'll probably be a strong enough parent that like you won't let that happen.
Yeah.
And I think that because you didn't come from much, right?
No.
So I think that you're still going to instill in your children those values that you had. Like, yeah, my kid's going to be rich too, and I'm going to give them the world, and I'm going to pay for their college, but my kid's going to have a job. They're going to work for it. But like, obviously, I'm not going to make them struggle the way I struggled.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I would want to make my kid go work at Wendy's.
I would.
Really?
Probably. Just to like,
maybe.
I think everybody should work in the food service industry for at least a year. I think Daniel Tosh said that, and I totally agree, because you need to learn. That's how you learn to respect people. When people treat you like shit as a waiter, you're like, now I tip extra.
Yeah, that was a big thing my mom would always say to me is like, you know, I judge people 100% based on how they treat the waitress.
And
know?
like a tip. Oh my god, the boyfriend before my last one was like the worst tipper, and it was such a fucking turn off to me.
Really?
I couldn't handle it.
Was he a broke boy, or
No, it was more so just like,
that's just who he is as a person?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he was raised, but like 10%, like the minimum tip. And I always try to like, I look at what 20% is and then do a little extra.
Right.
Because think about it, like to you, if you tip 20% and say it's like $4.
Yeah.
If you tip $2 extra to that waitress, they're so excited that like to you it's $2. You really don't notice the difference between you spent $14 or 16.
Right.
To them, it's like, oh my god, I just got like a 35% tip.
Yeah.
Please don't clock me on that math. I don't know if that was right. But
No,
to them,
it
means
warms
the
my
world.
heart. Like it definitely like, especially I usually would just like tip like 20% or whatever. But if the waitress is like super sweet and nice and stuff, and I give her more, that just, even though I don't get to see her reaction, it just sort of makes me feel good to know that she probably had that warm little glow for like 45 seconds.
Exactly. And like they're working their ass off for tips and an extra couple bucks an hour. Like that changes your hourly wage of maybe you made $20 an hour or maybe you made 40, you know, just those little changes. I'm telling you, $1 doesn't mean a lot to you, but it means a lot to a waitress.
And it's just my automatic feeling towards anybody in the food service industry is just like empathy, because I know it's not a high paying or fun or creative or, you know, I just know that they don't feel 100% fulfilled doing that. It's like a completely laborious job.
Usually.
Yeah. It's like, you know, I feel for them because I know that probably anybody who's waiting tables in LA probably wants to do something bigger than that. And it's like, you know, that doesn't make me think like, oh, you piece of shit who fucking has some low level job. But I feel like a lot of people sort of get into that way of thinking they can treat somebody who has a shitty job like a piece of shit.
And that's why my kid will work at Wendy's.
For real. But anybody who works in the food service industry right here is like, yes, they tip well. Like we probably just won over a huge percentage of the audience right there.
But now there's going to be like a waitress like, Gabbie said she tips well and she doesn't.
Or think about all the people in Europe who like, there's no tipping culture there.
Oh, I know. That's like something that's hard for me to break when I'm in Europe and I don't leave a tip because like you're not supposed to. But then afterwards I'm like, should I have tipped?
Yeah.
It still feels weird.
It's like maybe they know I'm American.
Yeah. I did hate when they added the tips to the Uber though. That kind of was annoying.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Because like it wasn't there, but now like you kind of have to because
I'm
now
still on
option.
some like out of sight, out of mind shit where I just X out of it right away like it's a fucking pop-up because I don't even want to think about it.
Love that. Well, my biggest fear too is like if I take an Uber and I don't tip, but like what if they knew who I was? And then it's like, wow, I met Gabbie Hanna and she didn't tip.
Wow, that's intense. I've never thought about it like that because I still just think of it as so optional to tip on the Uber, I'm gonna be honest.
Honestly, Lyft, I feel like it's not optional. With Uber, I feel like because Lyft, it's always been built into the app.
See, I've never lifted.
Oh, I love Lyft, but it's always had the tip option. But Uber never had it. So when they added it, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How much am I supposed to tip them?
But at the same time, I feel like when Uber came out, people were getting paid extremely well, and then over the time, it's just gotten worse and worse.
Oh, is that true? I don't even know.
I believe so, but I don't know.
Probably.
I mean, a lot of people have said that like when you drive Uber, because of the wear that it does on your car and everything, that you end up like barely profiting, which I'm not sure how true that is.
How much is gas though? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, are you getting enough money back that you're even paying for your tank at that point?
Right. What was your shittiest job before you were clouded up?
The first real person job I had, like out of college before I started the internet, was it was definitely a pyramid scheme type thing, but it wasn't technically. So it was a company, but the way you grew and moved up in the company was by recruiting other people to work for the company.
Was it Cutco?
No, it was called Smarter Circle.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so it was basically like we sold these products. We would go into a Sam's Club, or I think it was just Sam's Club, but we didn't work at Sam's Club. We were just third-party vendors, and we would go in with these shitty products that we were like brainwashed into believing were really good products, but definitely weren't. And we would just peddle them to people, and they gave us these tips of like, okay, make sure they touch the product. So I'd be like, excuse me, can I see your hand? And like literally put the product in their hand. And then but like we would make decent money selling the products, but then there were always about like recruit, because once you recruited a certain number of people, then you would move up in the company.
Right.
But I was very good at that job.
Really?
So within like 4 months, I was promoted to like the top. So like I was moved out to Cleveland to help somebody else open up their own branch who was like one step ahead of me. And like my next step was to open my own branch of the business and have like my own company. And when I got there, I realized how dark and brainwashy it was. So I basically forced myself to be fired because I've never quit anything, but I was like being really sassy with my boss. Like I was like showing up not on time, and that's not in my nature at all, but I wanted out.
Wow. I'm pretty sure your phone's been exploding for like the past 5 minutes. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh, it's all no caller ID. It's probably a package that I just missed.
It's probably because they know that you're on here.
Probably.
Yeah. No, I did that for a little bit too, in the sense that I was like selling knives for this company called Cutco.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's what Cutco is. I was like, what is that? That was such a big one.
I tried that for a couple months, and it's awful because you have to like basically.
That's door to door, isn't it?
Well, what we were doing was like making like appointments with like people that our friends and family knew, which is like seems particularly fucked up. And you know, one thing I remember that they told us, because it was when I did it was maybe like a year after 9/11. I just remember them telling us that like in Manhattan they had record sales the month of 9/11, as if to say, look how dedicated their salesmen were, that they were still able to make this many sales during one of the worst terrorist attacks of all time. And I just remember sitting there thinking like, that's the most horrible thing I've ever heard.
That's disgusting.
You'll imagine dealing with the fallout from 9/11 and you run around trying to sell people overpriced knives. Like,
and then people still bought them.
Like, what is life? Yeah, and the fact that this apparently, like, somehow a terrorist attack opened up some kind of wound in people. They wanted to give these kids money for knives.
Maybe. I think the thing that opened my eyes to the fact that it was a pyramid scheme that I didn't want to be a part of was when I moved to Cleveland and I was recruiting people, and I moved right after Christmas. So it was like after people bought all this shit. So they have this rule that you have to sell to like 20% of the people you talk to, and like the statistics say that. But during Christmas, you're selling like to 50 or 60% of the people you talk to. Obviously, on January 3rd, you're not selling to that many people because everybody already spent their Christmas money.
Right.
Or whatever. And people aren't buying gifts anymore or whatever. But we were trained to tell these new recruits who were coming in the new year when nobody was buying shit that they weren't doing their job correctly and that there's something wrong with them. Like, we literally had to tell them, you're not following the rules or else you would be, because the law of averages selling. And then I got on the phone with my boss and I said, well, if we're supposed to sell to 20% of the people we talk to, wouldn't the law of averages say that since we were selling to 60% in December that we wouldn't be now?
Right.
And they said, no, it's every day. And I said, well, that's not how the law of averages works. Like, you can't just say it doesn't reset at midnight.
Right.
So I wasn't okay with that, and I wasn't like barraging. Is that a word, barrage?
Barraging, yeah.
Cool. I wasn't barraging like my people with like, you're doing a bad job, because they weren't. I was watching them work and they were doing everything they were told to do. It's not their fault that people aren't buying shit on January 3rd.
But that is like, as a manager, it's like sadistic, but probably effective to sort of convince your employees that they're doing a subpar job, because then you get to like treat them worse in terms of like what you are giving them and stuff. So it's like kind of this like sinister way that like capitalism just causes all of these like awful things to unfold. And like even like my experience with selling those knives and shit, it soured me on the idea of having a job so much, because I was just, this is just such a foul fucking way to live, to have to like just like the only way I can make a living is to just go somewhere and just like lie about this product and just basically like completely misrepresent who I was. I always had such a hard time putting a fucking uniform on.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
But
some people excel. Like, people who are genuinely not creative people, that's not a flaw to not be creative. I can't work corporate. Some people excel in a job where everybody can't be a leader.
Right.
Everybody can't be an artist. You need people who can follow. Yeah. And those people are the ones who are like making the world run. Like, good for them.
But what'd you go to school for?
I got a degree in economic psychology and communications, but I was working in marketing.
Intending to do what?
I originally wanted to go on to grad school and be a psychiatrist. And then I just realized after I graduated how much I hated school, and it just wasn't for me. So I was just kind of doing what I could, I guess.
And then who inspired you to be a creator? And so you started Vine after college?
Yeah,
Or during?
I actually hated Vine during college. My friends all downloaded it and they thought it was so cool, and I deleted the app because I thought it was so stupid. And then Bo Burnham started posting Vines, and he's my idol and my everything. So I downloaded the app to watch him, and then I found other people like Marcus Johns and the people in the beginning, Nicholas McGallis, who are huge. And I was like, oh, I can do this because I just graduated college. I was actually a waitress when I first graduated. Hated my life in my hometown with no real friends. Just wanted something to do, and I built a community online of friends, and then that's how I came up on Vine.
Right. So were like when I like went back and watched a lot of your old Vines, it like stood out that you were around David and them a lot. Were you super early on doing Vine type content with them, or how did that play out?
I don't think I really started hanging out with David until Vine was, well, I guess it was kind of at like the peakish of Vine.
Okay.
But Vine died shortly after that. So my first 2 years, I don't think he had even moved out. It was when he moved out that I just started hanging out with him because I thought his Vines were really funny.
Right.
And he didn't have really any followers, but I believed in him and I thought he was funny, so I made videos with him.
Oh, so that was really early on.
Yeah, David
okay.
never really got big on Vine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I don't think he ever really, I mean, I don't know how many followers he had, but like most people didn't know his name from that. Most people knew him from when we were collabing on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, because I'm more of like a new school David fan, sort of like trying to piece everything together.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So when you decided you wanted to start doing the YouTube thing, though, was that like a big challenge because you'd been used to doing the short form content, or how did you initially like break into the YouTube thing?
No, I was actually the first YouTuber to move to Vine, I think, or first Viner to move to YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, I did it right away because I always wanted to be a YouTuber, but I didn't have a camera. I didn't have the editing skills. I didn't know anything. So Vine was just the easy point and shoot solution. And then as soon as I had the means to make a YouTube channel in early 2014, probably late 2014, I hopped on YouTube.
What were your early videos like?
On YouTube?
Yeah.
My first one was a Q&A that was just like all sarcastic answers. Like I didn't really answer anything. And then I pretty quickly started on story times, but I didn't realize that that's what they were called at the time. I was just telling stories. And it was Jenna Marbles who really inspired me to push into that because I was telling her story. And she was just like, you have to tell that story on YouTube. That is so funny. And I was like, oh, I guess that's what I do now.
Did you have a hard time getting used to that feeling to sit there in front of the camera, though? Because I dealt with that a lot in the beginning.
It's awkward, right?
Oh, yeah. When you don't have that confidence. And like, I would be sitting there like ready to record, and like my friend would be like rolling a blunt in the kitchen, and somehow that noise of him, like, I'd be like, I can't do this right now, which is so crazy to me.
I can't believe you did it in front of other people. That's so weird.
No, but he's all the way in the other room, and like my door's closed, everything. Like now I sit here and record videos while like someone's doing the packing right there, somebody's sitting right there editing. Like I don't even think about it anymore.
No,
it's so
I still
easy
have to
me.
be alone.
Really?
Yeah. Well, for that type of video, if I'm doing like a vlog type thing, I like when people are with me, but no, like I could never do a story time with anybody, even in the building.
Really?
You have to be out of there.
Wow, that's so interesting.
I'm very shy.
Yeah, no, I mean that's normal. I think at first I just somehow have like gotten over that at a certain point because I feel like I just go into it. Actually, honestly, the sunglasses help too. That when I like am doing like a vlog and I just put sunglasses on, it just feels so much more comfortable.
Casey, nice that.
Yeah, for real. But it just it allows me to like detach from what I'm actually doing and be like a worse person. Because sometimes a lot of the stuff I do is like reaction videos where I'm pretty much just like ridiculing somebody's like creative output, but they need to hear it because it's like some really like cringy shit usually, and like the sunglasses somehow just like puts me in that zone. I've noticed that like
the eye contact makes you less human.
Yes,
that's why they put a bag over people's heads before they execute them.
Right. Wow. Yeah. If I worked in like a slaughterhouse, I'd probably want to have sunglasses on too, just so I wouldn't be able to like lock eyes with a cow.
Oh my God. Imagine a cow just looking you dead in the eye.
As you're about to drill a fucking drill bit into its brain, which is how they kill it. Yeah. At least sometimes.
I just didn't know. How do you feel about veganism, vegetarianism?
I was vegetarian, almost vegan for like 3-4 years in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I was really into like all these hardcore bands that were really into veganism.
I thought you were going to say hardcore drugs.
No, I was not at all. I didn't know anything about drugs until I got significantly older. But then at a certain point, I was just like realizing like I just don't feel like I tried so hard to like make myself feel healthy without eating meat, and it just never really worked out for me.
I can't believe you stuck with it so long. If I go literally a meal without meat, I feel very ill.
Yeah, I'm a pretty stubborn person, to be honest. And now I've been like eating really healthy, but that just means I'm eating like a lot of chicken breasts and eggs and like fish and stuff. So
I respect vegans and vegetarians so much. And if it was a lifestyle that I could follow for my body and feel okay, I'd be so down. But I think it's just people need to accept that every body is built different. Like there's like the endomorph, mesomorph, like all of that stuff that actually matters. I've gone a day without eating meat on accident. And like I get very ill. Like I have very low iron. I need a lot of iron. And yeah, you can take supplements and whatever. But my thing is like, if you're not getting the nutrition that you need from food, then that's not the diet for you.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be having to take 40 pills a day in order to feel okay.
Yeah, it seems like a fucking... I mean, my issue with veganism is that the way I see it is that it's just... There's certain things that are just normal human being shit, and just demonizing it just does not work for me. And I think the same thing about like the Catholic Church telling the priests that they're not allowed to have sex for their whole life. It's like you end up with bad things as a result. Like we can't just demonize normal things. That's just me. That's
how I feel about like the whole sex before marriage thing too. I talk about that all the time, where it's like, the last guy I dated was Mormon, and he was a virgin, and he was 28, and it was because even though he like left the Mormon church for years, he still felt so guilty because it was ingrained into him.
How did you start dating this guy? How'd you meet him?
Tinder.
What?
And he was very nice, and I didn't know that he was a virgin. But we had like a conversation about it, and I said, like, I would never pressure anybody into anything. Like that really doesn't matter to me. But it makes me so sad to think that there's so many adults who are struggling with that inner turmoil when the whole waiting till marriage thing was written when women were married and having kids at 13.
Right.
So like, yeah, it's
that's a good point.
It makes sense to not have sex before marriage if you're literally a child.
Yeah.
But as a 27, 28-year-old person, or however old, you went through puberty over a decade, 15, 20 years ago, your body wants sex, and it's supposed to be having sex. So why are you telling it no?
So that things didn't work out with old Mormon guy?
Have you heard my song?
Oh, it's about him.
Not directly, but it was inspired by that. I put 2 videos on my channel. One was called I Dated a Pathological Liar.
Okay, so I didn't actually click that one, but I did see that.
It's fine. So that was about him. He was a pathological liar. And then I did a follow-up because he sent me a package the day I announced I was making the video. And then he tried to pretend like it was a coincidence because it was like just another very manipulative thing where he was trying to make it seem like, wow, I did this thing out of the kindness of my heart because I was thinking about you and cared about you, and I wanted you to have like this really nice letter and package from me.
Right.
And it's like, oh, but I didn't talk to you for 4 months, but the day I post that I'm making a video, all of a sudden I have this letter talking about how amazing I am.
Right.
This is confusing.
So you're comfortable just meeting a guy on Tinder?
Oh, I have met many men on Tinder.
But somehow I feel like the level that you've gotten to, like, I wouldn't be comfortable being on Tinder at this point in my life. I just feel like I'm too well known, and that would just make the whole thing super weird.
Yeah. Well, the second somebody lets on that they know me on Tinder, I will not speak.
Block them?
I don't block them. I just I ignore it. But then it has happened, like this last guy pretended like he didn't know who I was, and then it turned out he very much did. And then he tried to pretend like he found out who I was, like later he had a realization, but then like he let it slip that when he first saw me on Tinder, he like sent a screenshot to his little sister who was also a fan of mine. I'm like, so you're a fan? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And like, I'll say this too. I've never said this publicly, but I don't think that anyone in any type of spotlight should date fans because the immediate power dynamic isn't fair. Yeah. You know, like that, whether you're a huge fan or just somebody who kind of knows who the person is, like think about if I meet this guy right here, you know what I mean? You say you're a huge fan of me. And
he's actually married to my sister, but...
You get the point. Say you're a huge fan of me and I'm just meeting you. He's seen my videos. He knows my personality. He knows my tweets. So it's kind of like he's known me for 2 years and I'm just now meeting you. And there's just something that's like not level about that. And then there's also the problem of you can build an image of somebody who's not real in your head. And that's what happened with my boyfriend before this last one, is he was also somewhat of a fan, but he imagined me to be somebody in real life that I wasn't because he was basing his reality off of what he saw on Vine. And that's not who I am.
Yeah. And to be honest, I feel like people are just, once people are faced with the idea of dating somebody who has clout, it just clouds their brain and they start acting crazy as fuck. And that just like, is just, it's a weird thing to engage in. I'm not gonna lie, I've definitely had sex with fans, but
I think a lot of men do.
oh yeah,
Mostly men.
I mean, you gotta get out of your system, yeah. But then it's like it just does feel, like I can't imagine anything really like romantic blossoming from that, because the whole thing of it is super weird. And like for me, it's like the whole time that I've really been like very well to whatever extent I'm well known now, that's been basically like the last 2 years that's been building, and I've been in a relationship the whole time. So it's like I kind of can't imagine what it would be like to really be single at the state that I'm in now.
Yeah, dating is very hard.
Yeah,
it's very difficult. But I don't know. I think that it'll navigate itself, I guess. But it's just, you want to be equal in a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Would you ever, like, I always just try to put myself in the position of like a fan, which is like, okay, Brendan Urie, I'm a huge fucking fan. Mm. If I was to date Brendan Urie and he didn't know how big of a fan I was, which he does, how could I have a normal relationship with him? I love him. I love his music. I've known him for 10 years and I'm a stranger. Right. You know what I mean? Same thing with like Bo Burnham. Like if Bo Burnham ever approached me, what relationship would that be? I've been a fan of you since 2005 and I'm like, you know? It's just, but I think it works for some people. Like Casper Lee's dating a fan and it's working for him. So I think it depends on the person too. Like if I meet somebody who's like a 30-year-old guy who's like, hey, I like love your music. I love your stuff. That's different than like somebody who's, you get what I'm saying.
I mean, it would be different for him to be like, oh, like I heard a couple of your songs and I thought they were tight, than to be like, oh, I've watched like hundreds of your YouTube videos and I know all about all your former relationships and all this fucked up shit you've been through. It's like the song, I would be way, if I was like an artist, like if I was a rapper and like, you meet a girl and she likes your song, it's like, it's just a song. It doesn't seem that personal, but like your YouTube videos, that's all you. Just, I mean, I know you probably have plenty of stuff that's behind the scenes, but that's basically you. I have so many
dating stories on there.
Yeah,
like you can learn about, like if I met you today and you were a fan of my YouTube, then you know about my history with like my emotionally abusive, pathological liar ex-boyfriend, and that's a conversation we're never gonna have. Because you already saw it on the internet, you know?
That's weird.
You just know so much information. And that's my bad, because I put so much information out there.
Right. No, I mean, yeah, it definitely opens up some weird stuff. So are you like kind of crushed by that feeling of like, I'm never going to be able to meet somebody? Or are you just like having fun with it, trying to like go on dates and stuff right now at this point in your life?
No, I'm actually, I'm not dating for a year, actually. And it feels really great. Just, I took a step back because after that whole situation was such a fucking mess. And then I realized even when I'm happy, like even when I'm happy in a relationship, I'm not doing what I should be doing. I'm not creative. I'm not as driven to do stuff because, and this is me, this isn't everybody, but even when I'm happy in a relationship, I feel like that person consumes so much of my brain where I'm like, oh, when am I going to make time for that person? And right now I'm at the gym, but I'm going to see this person later. And then like you're daydreaming about them and it's great and a good feeling to be so happy with someone, but also I'm not in a point in my life where I want that. I'm having so much more fun focusing on me and myself. Right. And the goal is, I'll get so big doing whatever that like I won't have a problem meeting somebody else because somebody who's on my level will be interested, Right. Everything will happen how it's supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, the scary thing when you think about it is think about somebody like Jay-Z and Beyonce who end up having to date each other because if you're Jay-Z, how you can never date anyone. Like every I just don't understand how someone could act normal to you. Same thing with Beyonce. It's like it must just be the weirdest feeling to just have that obvious level of fame and money between you and everybody, and it's just sort of, I don't know. Yeah, but in a weird way, don't you still feel like you're sort of clinging to the idea that like having more money and fame will somehow fix things in your life?
Maybe. I guess I've never really dissected it and really thought about it, but I think that if what I have to offer is something that I've built for myself, and that's the fact that I became like a really famous musician or whatever it is, then that's a cool thing that I have to offer. So like that'll give me somebody who's more on my level. I don't think it's going to fix my problems, but I think it will give me the caliber of person that I want to be with.
For sure.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
No, definitely. When you see the Bo Burnham thing, like where he stepped back from YouTube a lot as he got into other things, do you feel like that's still something that has to happen to somebody who wants to make it in some other way off of YouTube?
No. I hope that I can always maintain at least twice a month upload, hopefully every week. I think my content will change a lot. Like it wouldn't be these long week or 2 week long experiments that I've been doing, but even if I sit down and do a behind the scenes or a Q&A or something, I always want to keep that relationship with that audience because I just don't want to leave the platform because the platform is what gave me everything. You know?
And sometimes it feels like some people's style of vlogging is so fucking lame and cringy that they have to step back from their like ridiculous clickbait and everything. But I feel like your stuff is like, yeah, you're clickbait to a certain extent, sure, like everybody does, but I mean, it's not like you're committing some like heinous crime against everybody's eyeballs with the titles that you're using and stuff. It is a lot more autobiographical.
Yeah, and my clickbait is always true too. Like it might be hyperbolized, but it's true. Like when I said I buzzed off my hair, yeah, that's clickbait, but I never said I shaved my head. And people were really mad about it. They're like, you said you shaved your head. I said, no, I didn't. I said I buzzed off my hair, and I cut my hair with a buzzer. I did buzz off my hair.
Do you feel like you can just do whatever you want on your channel, or do you feel sort of like constrained by the whole dynamic of like thumbnails and titles really deciding what people will click on?
I think it's a little bit of both. I'm sort of at a level now where I think I like get it, and I know how to title anything in a way that people would click it, but obviously, you know, there's some shit that I would want to do that I just know won't do well. Like I did a pole dancing thing just because I thought that was really fun, and it didn't do well because people, I think, know that I'm somewhat athletic and like I would do well. So it wasn't an exciting thing to want to see. But at this point, I'm so inspired on YouTube and I have so many big projects coming up with it that I'm in a mode where I'm doing what makes me happy, but I also know that it's going to do well.
Right.
But it's not always like that. Like
It's
I
a
went
good
through
place to be in.
5-month stretch where I was miserable and just every day waking up and like that's some footage I wouldn't want an editor to see, where I'm like literally waking up like crying and I have to film and I'm in between takes being like like trying to like pull it together so that I can film something.
Do you feel your fans notice when you're not in a good emotional state and you're recording?
No.
Really?
Never.
Damn, you got a good poker face then. I don't know that I could like pull it off.
It's difficult. You know, did you say you watched my body transformation video?
Yeah.
I was at my worst in that video.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. Like emotionally, I was like at the worst. That was very hard to film and very hard to get the energy up for.
Even in the beginning or at the end?
I think I was happier in the beginning than when I filmed the part where I'm like, hey guys, it's over and I'm talking about it. I was in a really bad place.
Really? Just coincidentally? Because normally in my head, I associate like being in good shape with like my mind feeling good. And normally when I'm fat and lethargic is when my mind feels like shit.
That's 100% true, and why I knew that I needed to relay the message the way I was relaying it. Because the truth is, I was finally happy and confident in my body, and have never felt better about my body. And that's the narrative I needed people to see, because that's the part that I was trying to inspire people to do.
Right.
But as far as like my personal life and things that were going on, I was very broken. So I needed to cover that up for the sake of like, I'm not going to ruin this fucking incredible transformation that I did over a year because I'm sad, you know? So you just got to turn it on.
Do you like, when it comes to food and exercise and stuff? Well, first I want to ask, have you ever had any kind of struggles with drugs or anything aside from coffee? I watched that vlog. Okay.
No, I never had a drug problem.
Okay. But so when, like for me right now, I'm very much feel like I've been like free of the carb spell, or just I haven't eaten anything shitty in like 3 weeks. And that is just making me feel like, holy shit, like I'm free of this fucking drug, this treadmill that I've been on for my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's just a bizarre feeling.
Did you have like a weight issue?
I mean, I weigh like 225 right now. I was like 285 at one point, like 10 years ago. I don't know what that means
in terms of men.
Oh, yeah.
Because like for girls, it's so different.
I was like 60 pounds heavier, but that was like 10 years ago. And I would say my issue hasn't become that I got like really fat. It's just that I completely stopped working out for like 3 years and just completely was like, when my girl was just telling me, she's like, when I met you, you were ordering like cheeseburgers off Uber Eats at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that was just regular shit to you. And I'm like, damn.
But she still loved you.
Things have come far away. Yeah, that's even crazier.
But don't you feel so much better just taking care of yourself?
Amazing, yeah. And like I can't, like the thing I always think of that I can't shake is just that feeling that when you eat like shit, you're eating like you hate yourself. Yeah. And you're eating like you want to feel like shit.
And you really do eat your feelings. Yeah. I caught myself doing that recently, which I thought I was like out of that, but I just was having a really stressful time, like revving up to do stuff, and I found myself eating when I wasn't hungry again, and I was like, I had to stop. But the good thing is I'm finally in a place where I see that and I'm like, okay, wait, what am I doing? And you can nip it in the bud. But if you're on a spiral and you haven't found that in yourself yet, that can get really dark really quick. And that's why I would yo-yo so much, because I would look great and feel confident, and then I'd have a spiral, and then after I ruined it because I felt guilty because I ate a burrito, then I'd be like, well, I might as well eat a fucking piece of cake.
Exactly. Yeah, I had when I used to do jujitsu back in the day, like 5 years ago or some shit. I remember like I had this 2-3 month period where I was training for this tournament that I was like really hyped on. Just like not even that I cared about like how I was going to do in it, but I just like liked the idea that I had to get to a certain weight and that I had to have like really good cardio so that I could actually do good in this thing or whatever. And then I did it, and it was just like, yeah, I did the one hamburger that night, and then I just completely fell off the wagon and just
wild.
But I started eating like I hated myself because I really, and like I do the thing too. I've been off it for 3 weeks, but where I'll sit in here on stream for like 8 hours, do a bunch of interviews, make a bunch of money from donations, everything, and then I'll just go straight and just eat like the worst thing you can imagine after, because somehow in my head it was like, oh, I've done all that I can to make my life better today. Like I was absolutely as productive as possible, as creative as I could have been today. And there's nothing I can do now except to just like, the only thing that's gonna make me feel better is if I like eat ice cream or eat some terrible thing. And it feels so good to be free of that and to like go home and like eat like a handful of like unsalted almonds and be like,
ew.
Nice.
But you do feel better about it.
Hell yeah, I feel great about it because I actually just like...
Cashews are better, but...
I thought about saying cashews too because I believe that those are what I actually have in my closet right now.
They're so good.
Yeah.
But it's weird too how your taste buds actually change. Because like 3 years ago, if I ate a cashew, I'd be like, this is bitter, this is gross. And now I crave cashews.
Ooh, I've always loved all nuts.
No, I've never loved it because they weren't fattening. And another thing, I just like grew up so poor that's all we had was like junk, because nuts are
expensive.
I cannot even get on this rant right now because it would be a 20-hour podcast. But like, America is made to be fat. Like as like somebody who's trying to feed children, are you going to go pay $10 a pound for cashews, or are you going to get a bunch of ramen noodles and cereal?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's so sad. That's what I want to make a contribution on this world. Somehow, at some point, I'm going to change the way that America eats and make it possible somehow.
I just wish, and you know, I'm very like opposed to regulation in most areas of government and everything, but somehow in the same way that they're forced to list the calories along with products when you order, to some extent, I feel like McDonald's should be like required by law to offer options that fit a certain like nutritional criteria.
I think that's what they do with their like salads and stuff like that.
But I just wish that there was some way to like incentivize these kind of companies. Like
you mean to not have the fake meat and shit like that?
To just have and I realize that it's probably like completely unrealistic because it'd probably be like a $6 hamburger and then like a $20 natural organic chicken bowl thing. So it's like there are obviously like all kinds of economic incentives and stuff, but I just wish that there was a way that like there was just better healthy options at a place like McDonald's, so that at the very least it would be easier for people, like kids in particular, like poor people in particular, to make healthier decisions,
Families.
I guess they do have the salad, you're right, but
yeah, but even first of all, the salad is still kind of priced in a way where at that point, if you're eating at McDonald's, like for the cheapness of it, you're probably not going to get the salad. If you're eating at McDonald's because McDonald's is what you can afford, you're getting the double cheeseburger on the dollar menu.
Because it's going to keep you full the longest.
Yeah, you have to get the most food for the least amount of money, especially if you have a family and especially if you have kids where you have to feed everybody and you're out. You're not getting them the fucking salad.
And the way the shit's marketed too, it's like you never see the salad on the outside of the building. You see the burgers and stuff on the outside of the building.
You see the Happy Meals with the toys.
And as a kid, you do what the advertising tells you, which is, I mean, that's another thing. Sometimes I think that like advertising to children is like totally immoral.
It is immoral, but it's the biggest demographic and most marketable, demo, where it's like you have your parents' money and these kids are going to ask their parents for that and it's going to work, and or else they throw a hissy fit. It's, oh God, there's so many problems.
There really is.
It honestly overwhelms me.
Right. My audience right now probably too is like, holy shit, Adam talking about like health and like world issues. That's totally not his normal thing. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've like...
Sorry for wrecking your brand.
No, it's good. I'm just like entering like a more like senile like state of mind now because I'm like looking at all the stuff that people are eating right now. And I'm just like, God, like you should just not do that. Like I was, my friend Hakeem who works in front, we were telling him, he's like talking to us about losing weight. And I was like, okay, well, number one, let's talk about the fact that you go down to the pizza spot over there and you get 2 slices of pepperoni and a big ass cookie.
Yeah.
Like that is just not going to work. That has to be eliminated completely. I'm telling, he's like talking about drinking beer. I'm like, bro, beer is not going to work.
I was about to say, the drinks are what get you too. I mean, even if you're drinking vodka, one shot's like 65 calories.
Right.
And if you have 4 or 5 shots to feel tipsy or drunk or whatever, that's like a meal that you just ate. But like soda, when I see people walking around with like a large soda, I'm just like, you're literally just sucking down sugar. And that we're so annoying right now, by the way. Like everybody who drinks soda is like, oh, fuck you. But
it's weird because you just think like, have you not really like thought that much about what you're actually doing to your body with that? Because, you know, and that's the fucked up thing too, is that people start drinking soda when they're super young. And when you're 9 or 13 or whatever, you can just handle it. Your body's so resilient that you can do whatever and you'll be fine. And then one day you're like 25 and you still have that habit and it's like giving you heart disease.
Yeah. And then the diet stuff too. Like even if you switch to diet, fucking poison. It's unreal.
I'm so thankful that I was never like a soda head.
I was when I was younger.
Right.
We had a lot of soda, cakes, donuts, like cheap, fast things that were just always in the house.
I know, and I think about that with my parents a lot too, that like my parents didn't know any better than to just like feed us spaghetti and pizza and shit all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they didn't like, and my mom, if she was sitting here, would probably be like, I tried to get you to eat vegetables all the time. But, you know, it's like.
But if you're bringing the pizza into the house, then you're still feeding us pizza.
And I was a kid in the 80s. It's like, you know, my parents could be forgiven for not realizing that, like, you know, what we probably know now about health and stuff like that.
And like cereal, where you think like a bowl of cereal is like healthy and it's not, or like oatmeal with all the sugar in it. I used to think oatmeal was the healthy option, but not when it has 13 grams of sugar.
Oh yeah, I do. I kind of miss the morning oatmeal right now because I've just been on the eggs and bacon and like occasional sweet potato.
I eat eggs and bacon every morning for the past like 10 years with an avocado.
I know, because I'm a fan, so I've watched your videos.
So good, but I live on the sweet potato too. You probably know that.
I'm not a grapefruit kind of guy though.
I got into it.
I know, I've seen that.
It gets sweeter.
Maybe I'll give it another try, but I just haven't really like that. My whole life has never really been a thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm into grapes and strawberries, bananas.
They bloat you so much. They're so starchy.
What? Grapes and everything?
Grapes will bloat you like a motherfucker.
Really?
So much sugar. Somebody once compared grapes to like you might as well eat Skittles. Obviously, it's natural sugar instead. But if you're trying to lose weight in terms of the sugar content and bloating, that'll get you. Bananas are super starchy and carby. If you eat them at night, it's better.
Fruit's not really a friend from a pure weight loss standard.
Yeah, it depends what fruit, and like if you're really trying to get skinny quick, you're not supposed to eat fruit, but I'm all about just having an overall healthy lifestyle, so eat your damn fruit, but eat it around a workout.
My girl's sitting at home watching this right now thinking like, oh god damn it, now he's not gonna let me have fruit in the house anymore.
Just eat it when you're working out, then you'll be fine. Or at the beginning of the day. I'm gonna be honest with you, I found your fucking coffee video kind of depressing because it was kind of like, oh, like I'm a meth head and I'm gonna not do meth for a week and then I'm just gonna totally start doing meth again at the end of it. It was depressing, right? That's how I felt at the end of it too, was like I think I said it at the end, I was like, there was no point because I'm going to drink coffee in the morning because I need it. Like
the only reason that you tortured yourself for a week was, well, I guess to make the video and just to prove that you could do it. But like the fucking symptoms were so bad that when you started doing it again, it's so. And I just don't feel like I'm like that because I've like quit coffee for a couple of weeks at a time. Like, and the only thing I do is I'll end up like taking a nap at like 6 p.m. if I'm gonna like go out or whatever.
I think
like
everybody's
try
just
to
like
slip
different.
in that nap.
Yeah. Like I'm so reactive to everything for some reason. Like if I'm trying to think of a good example. Like I just feel everything more like pain, cold, heat. So I think if there's any symptoms to anything, I always feel it so much more. But that's also why I don't look up the symptoms until after, because I don't want to like warp it in my head. It's like, oh, I feel like a little sad. It must be because of the coffee.
Right.
And I actually just did keto. That's one of my videos coming up where I wanted to see what would happen if I ate no carbs. And I was getting horrendously sick and I didn't relate the two together. And then after the project, when I looked up the symptoms of keto, especially on women, it was everything I was experiencing. It was almost the same as coffee: muscle cramps, nausea, fatigue, depression and anxiety, like sleep problems. And like, it was all from not eating carbs.
Really? See, my like keto flu or no carb hangover really was more just an attitude thing. I feel like I was just being a dick. I was just kind of like snappy and just like didn't really like, people would say something to me and I'd be like,
Mine was nausea,
Really?
really, really bad muscular cramps, which I was so surprised by. Like that one really shocked me. The same with the coffee. I was waking up every morning at like 6 a.m. and I couldn't sleep. And that was one of them too, was like messed up sleep patterns and inability to sleep.
Right.
And so that's why I'm just saying, like, some people can cut out carbs and they'll feel fine. But because my body just reacts to things so intensely, and it's weird because that's how my emotions are too. I just think I'm a very...
You remind me of my girlfriend so much.
Really?
Because you guys are exactly the same way about coffee and food and like I always like say that about her. I'm like, you like are a super like feeler. Like you feel every drug to an extreme. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we'll be sitting there smoking blunts, someone blows it in her face, and all of a sudden she's so high that she has to go sit outside.
Yeah, I react a lot to like any type of alcohol. One time I ate edibles.
too.
I told this story online.
2 shots
one time.
later, she's fucking dancing around with a lampshade on her head.
Outskis.
Yeah.
I ate edibles one time, and I didn't know they were edibles at the time. This was years ago. And then once I found out they were, because they tasted funny, I didn't know how they worked. So I ate more. So I had way too many, but I was like seeing auras. Also, I'm psychic. Can I tell you a story I'm going to tell on my channel?
Would love that, yeah.
This one was so fucking spooky. Okay, so I have this medium who is... I grew up with her, and she is my mom's best friend, but she'll always reach out to me and say the most random shit, and it always comes true. Like, with my 2 boyfriends ago, she reached out and said something really disgustingly specific that I never told anyone, and then it came true. And then with this last one, she told me that my grandma wanted me to watch out for this guy that I was dating because he didn't have my best interest at heart, and he was more interested in me as like the celebrity as opposed to a person. And I was like, oh, that's not true. Came true.
Ooh.
But so she messages me, and it's so specific. Okay, this brand wanted to send me a leather jacket. This is where it starts. And I don't have any red jackets in my closet. And this brand was like, look at these jackets. And I sent them. I was like, I don't know if I want the black one or the red one. And then she messages me and she goes, hey, do you have a red leather jacket? This woman, I said, why? And she goes, because your grandma wants me to tell you that she thinks the red leather jacket is tacky and to not, like, don't wear it. And she thinks you can pull off anything but like get something classier. So like, it was so weird. Then she goes, and do you have a candle that's like 4x4, which is so specific because what a weird way to describe a candle. And I was like, what is she talking about? And then I realized, and then she said it would be a designer candle. And then I realized I have one candle that I haven't lit. I've had it for years, and it's 4x4 a square. Like, how many candles are square that you would describe it that way?
So you've been having these types of experiences with this medium.
This was all one conversation. So but like she comes in like.
But you've had these kind of conversations with her like your whole life?
Just recently, like with men, like after my grandma died, she's like reached out to me. So I really think it's my grandma communicating with her because I never really had this interaction with her. And now all of a sudden it's like, your grandma says this, your grandma says this.
Right.
So she tells me about this candle and I'm like, yeah, I never lit it though. And she goes, your grandma wants me to tell you that when you light it, that's her. Like, you're going to feel her. And then she said, my friend Matt, Stefanina, texted me. And 3 minutes later, she goes, who's Matt? Or maybe it was 4, but it was like 3 or 4 minutes later, she goes, who's Matt? And
Have
I said,
you considered she might have bugged your home?
I think that'd be a stretch.
That
like,
would
if
be
you knew
weird,
her,
yeah.
it would be like a stretch to like have thought that.
But that almost seems like the more reasonable explanation for how that could be possible. I'm not saying it's not true.
I believe in spirit.
No, that's good. Like, honestly, sometimes I feel kind of like left out because I haven't had any like supernatural experiences and stuff. And sometimes I think that like my mind being closed to it means that it won't happen.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I think that there's different levels and that's why I said I think I'm psychic because I'm like very open to these things and like
Right.
whatever. But okay, so she says the thing about Matt and I'm like, okay, that's wild. She goes, your grandma wants you to know she really likes him with a wink face, like saying like, I was like, we're just friends. She goes, yeah, we'll see. So if I end up marrying you, Matt, Stephanie, and I swear to God.
Wow.
But then this was the one that like really spooked me was she said, actually, no, this one was weird too. She asked me about a pink ribbon and I said, I don't know, probably because I have like crafts. She goes, take the pink ribbon, tie it around the candle and know that like that's your grandma, whatever. And then I realized it's my great grandmother's dress that I have is tied around the waist with a pink ribbon. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then I have this friend, and this is where I was like, okay, this is where it's wild. Because she spelled the name wrong, and the way mediums communicate is like words usually, like they'll hear it. So she spelled her last name wrong, but it was 100% her last name, and she gave her a message from her mother. And she wanted me to tell my friend about this person.
Right.
So to me, it was all just like way too much realness. And my grandma visited me in a dream, and it was weird.
That is pretty unbelievable.
I don't know how I got started on that. Sorry,
no,
nobody
that's
cares.
good. Do you consider yourself religious, or you have, like, how would you describe your belief system?
Well, I was raised Catholic,
right?
But the way I kind of live my life now is, I think in any organized religion, there's a lot of flaws. For example, the sex before marriage thing.
Right.
I think that is a very unattainable and unfair thing to put on some people who don't get married at all, like in 2018, or, you know, I probably won't get married if I do until at least into my 30s. What, you want me to not have sex until I'm 40 or ever?
Right.
Stuff like that. Obviously, their stances on, you know, being gay or literally anything else the Catholic Church doesn't support. But I do believe in God. And whether you see God as an actual entity that resembles humans, or if you just believe that God is the energy of the universe that pushes things in directions, I think you'd have to be very naive to think that there's not a power greater than you. Are you atheist?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No, that's
fine.
totally okay.
That's fine.
Right.
But like, even if, like I said, like, even if you don't believe in God, like, there has to be a power and an energy bigger than you, whether it's the Big Bang. Either way, that's an energy that created the fucking world. Like, somebody's doing this. And if scientifically energy doesn't die, even if your soul is just energy that is now living elsewhere, I just think everything with religion is semantics. And when you really break down what most people believe in, it's the exact same thing. They're just putting different names to it. You know what I mean? Like, you might believe in energy, somebody else might believe in a soul.
Yeah, I mean, like, religion is like sports in the sense that, like, you know, if you grow up in Brooklyn, like, yeah, you're going to be a Yankees fan. And it's like, if you grow up Catholic, you're going to be Catholic. And it's like, if you are born in Pakistan, you're going to be whatever religion. You know, it's like pretty much everybody's sort of looking for the answers given, like, the cultural or, like, you know, traditions that they've been brought up in. It's, you know, I get it. And it's like, I went through a long period of my life as a very, like, angry atheist, in the sense that I was just completely opposed to all forms of religion. I have a fucking burning church tattooed on my body, for the record. That's that basically says it all. And you know, I just don't, like, relate to that the same way I used to. I just don't feel any kind of, like, anger about it. But I think that in large part that has to do with the fact that, like, religion has been largely secularized, like, in the world now, and I just don't see the negative influence of religion in the same way that I did when I was a kid. Like, the things about religion that made me so angry as a kid, and now it's like, when you look at the landscape of pop culture, it's kind of like, well, all that anti-gay shit's out the window. Like, if you say some anti-gay shit, you're fucking out. You're probably going to get fired from your job. So that's good. That's a good start.
And more Christian churches are saying, like, we accept you, come as you are.
And they have to, because they have to adapt to the real world that is evolving around them, you know, which is, it's kind of strange. Like, I grew up with my mom telling me about heaven and hell, which is like, you don't hear a lot about heaven and hell so much as, like, real places anymore.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that stuff either. But I think at the end of the day, organized religion is just, people will categorize themselves because it's human nature to run in packs. Like, even that study where they gave, like, randomly a kindergarten class, half of them, they gave them blue shirts, half of them gave them red shirts, and the kids on their own separated themselves. And I think that people are just building packs, and they say, like, we're this religion and you're this religion. But if you really think about it, like, even atheism and the lack of religion is kind of a religion. Like,
it's still a tribe, for sure. You know, it's still something that you relate to. Like, there's certain authors or speakers that you'd notice, like, a large percentage of atheists would probably all be somewhat familiar with and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. And I think whatever you believe in and whatever you relate to is fine. And I just wish that everybody would just, when you really look at everything, people agree on so much more shit than we realize. Like, sometimes I watch left and right wing people arguing, and I'm just like, you guys are agreeing right now and you don't even know, because you're so obsessed with the fact of winning and being liberal or being Democrat or being Republican or whatever. You're agreeing. Just, like, listen to each other.
And it's, like, presented in such a way that there can never be any resolve. Like, our whole political discourse is not, like, based around the idea that anyone's ever going to be able to actually get along or, like, sort out their ideas and come to some kind of conclusion. And that's the one thing that I have issue with, and that I appreciate about YouTube, is that on YouTube and through podcasting and everything, there are a lot of people having, like, very good, healthy debates on topics that divide.
Demonetized, but
very, very good point. They are not making any money off them.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, like, people on the left and people on the right debating things at length, like, that stuff you don't get anything done on, like, a 5-minute segment on CNN.
No.
In my opinion, you get something but I believe that I've definitely listened to like hour and a half long. I listened to a fucking Steven Crowder interview with this trans woman, and I don't even like Steven Crowder, but it was so...
Was it The Mayor?
I don't remember, but
I think I saw it.
He was just debating, you know, like the trans thing, and like he has certain feelings about it. And she's obviously on the other side of the spectrum and stuff. And I don't even like him, but I was like so fascinated to see this woman actually be down to sit down and have like a real conversation with him about that, because sometimes it just feels like these like conversations have been like pushed out of the way because even discussing ideas is just kind of looked down upon.
Yeah, I really actually appreciate Steven Crowder for his, even though I don't agree with him on a lot of things, his way of argument, for the most part, is very structured, and he brings in people that don't agree. Like everything that you're saying is great with him, but it just, sometimes I think with politics, I think the problem with politics is like the celebrity of politics now, because especially when people with like, say like Tommy Lauren, who's so fucking abrasive and just like angry. And sometimes I think she's arguing about stuff that she doesn't even believe in, truly. Like stuff that she doesn't truly care about. And you can see it in her argument where she's just like, now she's grabbing at straws to make herself technically right when she knows she's wrong. And it's like, what's the point except for, oh, right, you're a celebrity in politics and you have to do this for entertainment. Politics is no longer about the betterment of a community. It's about being famous and being known. It's just, there's so many problems.
If you actually like, I have like a kind of weird fascination with like observing like right-wing media outlets and stuff, and like the rebel media YouTube. I'll like look through the videos sometimes, and it's just every single video is just poised to like make people who are more conservative feel like their entire life is being attacked by things. Like you would think from looking at the stuff that it's just like that every public bathroom in America has a line of trans men trying to get in, and you would think like that these, you know, bakers are refusing to make cakes for people constantly and stuff, and like just all this crazy shit. Like it's so based around just scaring the fuck out of you. And like I'm assuming you don't really watch the news much like myself.
Not on TV, no. Like the clips, obviously.
But like sometimes when I'm at airport and I see Fox News and I see them just scaremongering all day and just trying to make people just terrified of terrorism and everything, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. Like,
and what's it all come down to?
Fake news. No.
And money.
And
money.
Eyeballs and views, just like us. Oh, man.
I always wonder with people on the internet, too, I guess in general, but like mostly people on the internet, how much of what they're saying they believe and like maybe they like have truly researched and feel passionate about, and how many people are saying stuff because they know it's the trendy thing to say on Twitter.
Yeah, I would like to say that I think that if Tomi Lahren looked like Roseanne Barr, that she would have like 500 followers and none of us would know who she was.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
100%.
She's filling that role. She's like, I don't think that there's any reason that she's popular aside from her being attractive. Besides, yes, she can go on camera and talk.
She is well spoken.
Right.
She can form a really solid, if she's writing her arguments.
But she's saying the same bullshit that all these fucking conservatives are saying. She's just packaged into a fucking attractive woman with blonde hair.
She is
bright blonde hair.
Really pretty.
There you go. Yeah, and she is. But like Lauren Southern is the exact same template. She has the fucking bleach blonde hair and she's pretty and she talks a bunch of shit. She's probably worse. Ann Coulter kind of missed the boat by maybe about like 15, 20 years. If she had like got in a little earlier, maybe we'd be including her in this conversation.
Yeah.
I hope this is not problematic for me to say.
I don't think anybody likes Ann Coulter though, even the right?
Yeah, I mean, she's a truly like sadistic fuck, you know?
Yeah, like Trump hates her and she wrote a book that was pro-Trump and Trump hates her.
He does hate her.
Yeah, I heard that on, where was it? I don't remember. I was researching her. I mean,
I hate this motherfucker.
I mean, but whenever they did the roast of, I think it was Rob Lowe, and she was on there, and everybody was roasting her, and then I saw her go on a podcast and talk about it, and they were just like, "Well, Trump denounced you. Like Trump doesn't even support you," and she was like, "Well, he's just," like she had nothing to say because she's an idiot.
I mean, it's kind of scary times for people who are on the right because it's so easy for like if you were just a conservative person. You have to accept the fact that like your president seems sort of like brazenly racist and like immoral, and then a lot of other people are sort of like squished into the right, who are basically like, you know, borderline Nazis and shit like that. And so like this whole pot of them. And I mean, on the left too, there's a lot of fucking weird ass people that you get lumped in with on the left and stuff too. But it's just like strange times where it feels like the whole political discourse is poisoned. And that's not even to mention the fact that there's like Russian bots influencing everything.
Oh God, scary. I can't think about those things. I can't think about nuclear warfare and Russians and like all that stuff because it gets very scary for me.
You think a lot of your views might be coming from Russian bots?
Maybe. I mean, like, hey, if you are coming to my channel and giving me views, just don't leave a thumbs down.
How's TRL?
I haven't worked on TRL in.
Okay, that's
since,
over?
I don't think it's over, but they stopped flying out influencers. Back in November was my last day that they flew me to New York. They were flying us out every week. And I think that it probably just wasn't cost efficient because they were flying us like last minute first class flights and they were doing 6 of us a week.
Wow.
Because the Dolan twins went out as a pair.
Right.
So what is that, like 8,000 times 6 is... I don't know.
I could do it if you give me a little bit. Give me a pen and paper.
Is it 32,000? What is it?
No, it's
42? 38? 40. Yeah, what is it? 48.
I will consult my my nerd over here.
Were you? Oh my God, he's a nerd because he can do basic algebra in his head.
You said it, not me. We might still be wrong. No, Bad Baby screwed up some math on when I was interviewing her, and people were not very forgiving about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, she's what, 15?
Right.
Is she in high school still?
No.
She dropped out?
I assume she gets homeschooled, although I wonder what that's like.
Dude, I actually like her.
Oh, I love her. Yeah, she's great.
I love her too. I don't understand really her hate train except for, okay, no, I do understand her hate train.
Right.
But just because I understand why people are like, oh, she's disrespectful, she's this, she's that. But she got me the moment that when she came back on her second interview with Dr. Phil, and also actually the first interview with Dr. Phil, when her mom was saying like she sleeps in my bed every night and after her dad left, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, she's clearly just like broken.
Right.
She's just a broken human like all of us, and she's acting out in a way that was publicly shown. Like, there's a lot of kids who act like that. But then on the second Dr. Phil, when they didn't have an audience, and then they had the doctor who was working at the ranch with her, and as she was leaving the show, she went and she gave him the biggest hug. I swear to God, I'm about to start crying right now because it was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because like that like male figure to her just was... She hugged the person who was working with her at the ranch. Like, that's not an ugly person inside. That's somebody who like just desperately wants love. And I think she's great, and I think she is talented, and I think, you know, obviously her music could use some work, but whose can't? I
think she's pretty good. I feel like she's like the number 3 female rapper in the world right now.
I honestly like her. Yeah. I really do. But I think that she's great. I think people need to give her a break and understand that she's growing up. She's 15, and she had like a lot of shit happen to her. I just don't like the bass in her music. It's a little too...
Really?
What's it called? Like, it sounds blown out to me.
Right.
And I don't really like that much. But
well, hey, everybody out there is going to know what I'm talking about at some point in the near future, but we got some Bad Baby heat on the way from No Jumper.
Really?
Yeah, we got some heat.
I like her a lot. Hi, Bad Baby, if you're watching.
She's great. I should probably love you too. Although, I don't know. I mean, that's one thing I noticed about her is that she tends to let men off the hook. She just likes men. She likes father figures and stuff. Like, she loves me. She loved X. She loved, like, I don't see her with a lot of female friends besides Asian Doll, who she goes on tour with and stuff.
I think that probably makes sense for, I mean, obviously I do not know this girl's life that deep. I'm just going off the very little information I have. But if she, you know, she has sort of like a toxic back and forth relationship with her mother, and she probably has some trust issues with women as well. And because she does have this like defense up, a lot of women probably don't like her because she's so aggressive. So like, I see that, but I also think that as she grows, that's not going to be a problem. I used to be like that. I used to be very aggressive like towards other women too.
I just worry, or partially worry, I partially wonder just what's going to happen when she's like an adult, because she's very much like kept in a box by like her management or security and stuff, in the sense that like obviously she can't go to a club. She's on this crazy ass probation anyway or whatever. So even if that was an option, like she's not really like, you know, going out or anything. She's not like just kicking into people's houses with her friends and stuff like that. And I just like, when I think about her, I worry about that transition into adulthood and how hard that might be given her enormity, just how famous she is and everything. I
think that's probably true with anyone who gets fame very young, and I just hope that she has a strong enough support system around her that really just bring her down to earth. And I think that she's pretty intelligent. I think that she has a lot more going upstairs than people give her credit for, and I think she'll be all right.
Are there any other like young YouTubers or otherwise, especially in terms of women, that are like really motivating to you, just in terms of you look at them and you're like, yes, she's killing it. She's like the next generation of the kind of stuff I'm doing?
To be honest, I don't watch a ton of YouTube anymore. Is there somebody you think of?
No, I don't know. I don't appreciate anyone's work. No, you know Emma?
Oh, Emma Chamberlain?
I love her.
I've met her. I messaged her when she was, she's like going through a lot of hate right now. So
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I won't even bring it up here.
Maybe
on
I'll
here 'cause
jump
I don't
in
wanna
on
give
it.
her the
Maybe I'll
bad
get
press.
involved. Maybe I'll hate her too.
Yeah,
no, I'm
she
just kidding.
I hate the hate wagons because, I mean, she did something a little dumb and like, I'm trying to think of how to say this without getting myself in trouble. I hope that she also has a strong support system around her so that when she is talking about it online and when she tries to come back from it, that she won't make the same mistakes that somebody like Tana might make. And because she is getting compared to her a lot right now.
Really?
And I don't know Emma super personally. I've only talked to her a couple times and she was great. I thought she was so sweet. And I feel for her for the hate train she's getting right now because she doesn't deserve that, I don't think.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Deflect. Throw that at Tana. Come on. No, I mean, I don't even know the story. I've watched some of her videos and I very much got the feeling of like, holy shit, this girl is so ridiculously good. And
I've actually not seen her videos.
She's just so funny and has so much energy
hear.
and is just so all over the place. And it was very like motivating to me to just see somebody who's that young and just doing such a good job.
I see her likes on Insta though and I'm like,
that blew my mind too. I only just met her at Tanacon too, so that's like how I just like decided like I want to go watch some of her videos and stuff.
I think that she can go really, really, really far.
Right.
Yeah, and I think she's a great girl. I should start watching her videos because everybody's like so hype about it. I just try not to watch YouTube at all, like for the most part. Like I love podcasts, obviously, but like as far as like actually just sitting down and watching vloggers, I need to like take a step back.
I was gonna say that though, is because sometimes I look at like your content and I almost feel like it would feel kind of natural for you to get into doing podcasts because what you do is essentially like these like 15-20 minute like snips of something that might be kind of ordinary conversation in a podcast, except it's just you telling it with like some editing. Yeah,
I actually I'm just hoping to start a podcast with my best friend. I'm just waiting for her schedule to calm down and mine a little bit because when I do it, I want to do it right and not just be sporadic. Like I want to make sure it's a weekly thing. I'd love to. I think they're so cool. And you're great at it too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I find it a lot easier when I look at what you do. Like, I think, I can make videos where I like tell a story and like, sort of sit there and like kind of have a script that I'm going back and forth through and stuff. But like for me, sitting on camera and having a conversation just erases any sort of like friction that exists in between me and like getting my ideas out there. But the tricky thing about that is that you want to be able to be talking to somebody that's like, that you have a good rapport with because like you need like the proper person to sort of like bounce back and forth with. And that's like, I mean, we're set to start growing and expanding our content like to an insane degree over the next couple of months. So we're just going to be producing a lot more content and a lot of it's going to be very conversational, which I'm excited about.
Have you had somebody on who's like really hard to have a conversation with?
All the time.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That's my biggest fear is just not being able to like pull something out.
I mean, sometimes I'll have dudes on that are just clear, like they're young and they're like
you're
off
like in
drugs.
the music mostly. It's like shit like that. Yeah.
And you could have somebody on the podcast that might be like the illest rapper that's just coming out exploding. They're just blowing the fuck up. And you get them on the podcast and you realize like, damn, this person does not really like talk that much
that's
or
like
that
with
well.
Actors too, like the funniest comedians, you get them in a room and they're like,
really?
Yeah.
See, I feel like comedians are ones that I would have faith in. With actors and stuff, it's like you could be a really good actor and really also be a dumbass because they're
comedic
writing.
Actors is more so what I mean. Yeah, like comedic actors. I don't want to say a name, but there's like 4 in my head in particular, and women too. Like not just men. There's so many where you just like you see them on the screen and you're just like, oh, they're so funny and charismatic, and then you talk to them and they're just like assholes.
And you know what I think is the really funny part is that there's so many people who are so fucking funny on Twitter and they're so sarcastic and shit, but if they were on camera, you would just be like, this dude is a fucking dub. This is not it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has different skills, I guess.
Yeah, but it's just like, that's what I hate is that your biggest critics are always going to be the people who sit at home and watch your videos and would never make a video of themselves because they would just suck.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Whenever anybody, that's the whole thing with the hate in general is like, I'm sure there's people who like critique my singing who are way better at singing than me. So like I get like the bitterness of it, but like what's it helping you to, and not critiquing in a way like, oh, if you do this, it'll be better, but just like, you suck. Like what is that doing for you?
Right.
And it's not making you famous to tell me that I suck. So.
Are you feeling like you're on a high right now with the music and stuff because you had just such a crazy reaction to your single that came out recently? Yeah,
that was sick. I've been on a crazy high in life in general. I just like feel really good. And this has definitely added to it and has definitely, I mean, I already knew that I wanted to take my career into the music direction anyways, but I was so jaded from the music industry from last year that I really took a step back for almost a full year.
Right.
And it scared me and made me feel like gross things inside. And now I'm back into like, I love this, and this is what I'm going to put all of my heart and soul into.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It must just feel good to know that, like, yeah, you've been doing the YouTube thing where you're actually like getting traction with something that's like totally out of left field. And that normally is considered a joke when YouTubers do it.
Yeah. And I think that I've had a really humbling experience too, just to see how engaged my viewers are. Because I knew it. Like, I know that I have people who like love me and support me, but the fact that I had enough people love and support me to get to #1 and #2, like, that's like, holy shit. And I had this moment, I was watching, I'm not gonna lie, I sat and I watched reaction videos for like days straight. I love it. Just watching people watch me, the most narcissistic thing you can do. Like,
That's
let
amazing.
me watch people watch me. But
That's a reason to make a song right there.
Right?
Yeah.
Honestly, do it. It changes your life. But I watched this kid who was like, so the song came out and like I woke up at 3 a.m. because like my body knew that it was like time for it to come out, and I couldn't sleep because I was so excited. And I was like, that's how I used to feel on Christmas morning, like when you know the presents are coming. So like you wake up and you can't sleep. And the fact that I had that effect on somebody, that he was so excited that he literally woke up at 3 a.m. because he knew my song was out, that was so humbling in a way that I was like, wow, these are real humans who care about me so much. And I just want to do everything I can to give them shit that makes them feel that way every fucking day.
That's amazing. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Just sucking my own dick.
No. No, I feel you though. Just like kids just need role models, and they need people that they can look to as like inspiration for how to live their life. And it's just like, it's just a cool feeling to think that somebody could like get a lot from you through the vlogs and everything, and then also could just like get a lot from you for the music. Like you could hit them on both sides, and that it would actually work. It's just like a very, I don't know, it's just an exciting idea.
And I'm just excited to make shit that like matters too, like music that, like listening to Panic, listening to My Chemical Romance, listening to those people's lyrics and songs helped me. And I never understood really when kids come up to you in a meet and greet and they're like, you helped me, like you changed my life, you saved me. And I'm like, well, that can't be true. But then I think back at, oh, that's what MCR did for me. Like listening to them sing about what I was feeling. And that's what I hope I always do, and what I will always do is I'm never just going to put out songs written from somebody else. I will always write my own music. I will always make sure that it's about something real that people can relate to. And I think in that way I don't know, I just want to like sucking my own dick again, but like I want to make stuff that helps people.
No, that's good. Have you had the conversations with labels and everything?
Yeah.
Just starting to, or is that?
Well, when Out Loud came out, almost every label reached out.
Right.
And I knew that I wasn't ready, especially with the people that I was surrounded with at that time. I wanted to make sure that I was signing contracts with like a team that was right. So now a lot of them have reached out again now that this is doing well. And we're definitely having the conversations, but I really love the idea of being an independent artist.
Right.
I just think you have so much more power and control, and like, what's a label really provide? I mean, with like radio play and stuff, that's great. My song's getting radio play now, but not the way that it would with a label.
Right.
But like, you know, if I have the funds and the means on my own to create music, we'll see.
It's weird because it's like with the label thing, it's all about just getting your stock as high as possible before you sign. And so it's like, I'm sure the amount that you could potentially negotiate right now is probably way higher than after the first song, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of like you want to build yourself up to a certain level and stuff, but then there are just certain things that you see when you're in close to the labels, you realize that they do for artists and stuff that sort of can change everything. But yeah, it's like, it's just always.
What do you think? Like, what would you, as somebody who's so close to music, tell me to do? Would you tell me to keep going or label?
You should definitely at least like consider keep going, but it's like inevitably you're going to hit a point where it's just you're not going to be able to continue to grow unless you have like,
right.
And it might not be a label in the super traditional sense that you like, you know, sign with a big ass label like Universal or Atlantic, and they just like, you know, it might be something different, but like at a certain point, it's like, because, you know, being an artist is not a one person job. It's like a 20-person job. Yeah. But it's like, that's kind of the question is like, do you build your own team? Like you look at somebody like Chance the Rapper, it's like, he's really like built this like insular, powerful thing, but has he ever had a really big hit record on the radio by himself? No. And that's the kind of thing that like...
He has a lot of features.
He has a lot of features, and he's done a lot of incredible things in his career, but it's like there are certain things, like labels make songs turn into hits. And it's like, can you hire like a group to do that for you? Probably. But it's like at a certain point, it might just be. But then again, also people get signed all the time and then they get fucking put on a shelf because they just don't seem as like immediately.
I would never let that happen though.
Yeah, and that would be bad. Obviously, yeah. I mean, any like career that somebody like you who's already like clued in, any contract you're going to sign is probably going to allow for you to be able to manipulate your way out of those situations.
What label would you see me on?
No Jumper Records.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah.
Sign me, baby.
Let's do it, babe. I told them, I was like, let's do a song and let's put Tana on the hook. And they were like, at Atlantic, and they were like, we're down.
Yeah.
Because they're down for the fuck shit. They're down for the YouTubers, which is cool because like I consider my podcast to be like the meeting place for the YouTubers and the rappers.
Yeah. I mean, I actually agree with that 100%. Like,
But
that's
then-
exactly what you are.
I appreciate that. But then sometimes it's weird because like, you know, there's people who want to say that like there's certain YouTubers that I'm down with that I don't want to be promoting their music or acting like I think their music is okay. No. But some of it is so bad and so offensive that it's like borderline like offensive to hip hop, which is the problem. Jake
You
Paul.
don't think Tana's offensive to hip hop? I'm not saying I think she is. I'm just asking you.
I would like to see her fuck more black men. But I think that for the most part that she's, I would like to see her have a couple like high profile relationships with maybe some basketball players and stuff. But I think that, you know, that would help. But I think she's all right.
I would love a high profile relationship with somebody.
Basketball player?
I'd take anyone.
I don't know if that. Wait, so you're just like everybody else. You just want to date someone for the clout.
I 100% would, because right now I'm not dating for my own personal self.
Logan Paul. Okay, KSI or Logan Paul, who are you going to be voting for?
To win?
Yes.
Like, who do I want to win, or who do I think will win?
Do you even care, or who would you like to see win?
Wait, what day is that? That's coming up. That's in 7 days?
That's soon.
It's a week, yeah. Fuck.
That's going to be exciting.
That's going to be so exciting.
It is.
Okay. Who do I think might win? I mean, I don't know shit about boxing.
Right.
Logan obviously has more like reach because he's much taller, but
Joe Rogan over here.
I don't literally, yes. No, but like that's all. But like, there's so many different types of boxing where it's like the swarming versus like, you know what I mean? So like,
wow, you're like fairly knowledgeable about this. This is interesting.
just a little bit, like not really.
Okay.
I think
you go to like a boxing gym for a while.
no, I would love to box Ricegum. I think that would be the fight of a century because low key, I'm jacked.
I totally forgot I was supposed to ask about that.
Oh, I was actually wondering if you would. But like low key, I'm like pretty strong.
And he's probably really not. Like, I feel like that if there ever was a case where like a woman might have a good like two non-competitors would like be able to sort of face off. I don't think that would be a good look for him. I'm gonna be honest.
Because I would win.
Regardless, if he beats up a girl, that's a weird look too.
That's 100% true.
So is the hate still strong for him?
I've never hated him.
Okay.
I don't know what I would describe my feelings for him was. It was never hate.
Right.
But it was just, it was such a weird situation. And I think what was weirder for me about that situation was it was so obvious online that he was lying, just because if you watch literally interview to interview, he has 20 different stories.
Really?
And like he starts off his story with, I didn't touch her. And then the story moves to, I just snatched her phone out of her hand really quick.
Right.
And then it turned to, I had to fight her and use both. He literally says I had to use both hands. I mean, she's holding onto her phone. Obviously, she's not just going to let it go. So then like, as you like listen to his story change, it's just like, he gets closer and closer to the fact that, yeah, you assaulted me and you took my phone. And then the thing that did bother me a lot though, was I was so specific to say that he did not punch me, that it was nothing like that. And I said that night on the Snapchat right away, because I said Ricegum just like hit me and broke my phone. And then I went back right away. I said, I just want you guys to know, like, he didn't like punch me, he didn't slap me, like he wrestled me for my phone, he twisted my arms, he pushed me down.
Okay, so that kind of like assault. And
I cleared that up immediately. And then Phil DeFranco covered it the next day, and I wasn't even going to answer him, but I thought it was important to, because I said, the one thing I want people to know is I am not accusing Ricegum of hitting me. Right. I am not saying that he did. I'm saying that he pushed me down, he wrestled me, which he admitted to. Right. He said I had to use both hands because she was holding onto her phone. I had some marks on my body from him, and then he broke my phone. So that's what I want people to know. And then he's going on podcast saying, this girl's trying to make it sound like I punched her in the face. And I literally said the words, I don't want anyone to think I'm saying he punched me in the face.
Right.
So to me, as a viewer, watching him say those things and people still side with him when you can literally put the two side by side and be like, I kept the same story beginning to end and he's changing it. That was just confusing and like frustrating. And then like when he scratched himself, when he was just like, I couldn't even leave scratch marks on her because I don't even have nails. Like, she's a liar. And then he posts a video scratching himself and leaving marks on himself, being like, this is what she did to herself. And it's like, wait, I thought you couldn't leave marks on somebody, but you literally just scratched the shit out of your chest. So like shit like that, where it's like, how do people believe this?
Right.
So that was frustrating. It was a very difficult time because I'm never somebody who likes to get attention from drama, but really, I never got a lot of hate from that. I got a lot of support from the community. Anybody that wasn't like an 8-year-old Ricegum fan was on my side and could see the truth. But then there were some things that really hurt too. Like, I loved this one podcaster and I was a big fan of his, and I saw that he was talking about it, and I really thought like, oh, this guy's smart. Like, there's no way he like won't side with me.
Right.
And then he was saying that I like deserved it, and if anybody ever tried to like film him, he would have broken my phone too.
Really?
So like shit like that like hurt, because like I was a big fan of that guy and now I'm not.
See, I don't think there's any doubt that like from the multiple different sides I've heard of it and from your version of it, that like he definitely was overly aggressive, for sure. Like that just sounds like completely unnecessary. Do you think that when you filmed him, that when you did whatever you did that prompted his action there, in retrospect, do you think that you were being over the top or anything there?
I wouldn't say over the top. I would say
Sort of invasive to his privacy, perhaps?
yeah.
Not that would justify what he did,
I
but
could see that. The funny thing about it too was he was saying like, yo, we're at a YouTuber party, no phones, no one's filming, blah, blah, blah. And like in the footage that I have from that night, he literally has a camera vlogging. And I'm like, question mark? Like what?
Was he right that there was like a lot of people drinking that wouldn't want to be documented drinking?
No, it was a birthday party for a friend. Everybody was like Snapchatting the whole night, like happy birthday, like
right.
No, like, and also I wasn't like filming people like shot. It wasn't like that. It was somebody. It's like a 28-year-old kid's birthday.
When you were filming Ricegum, was it just like, oh, haha, Ricegum is here? It was like just sort of.
Yeah, and I would have battled him on the spot.
Oh,
and that's what the Snapchat was he made a video about me. I think it was probably a year before
okay,
that.
That's where all this started from. I didn't realize that he had dissed you.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
okay.
So he made a diss track about me where, because I tweeted that was literally nothing about him. I said something about, if you build your channel off of the faces and names of other people, like, what are you doing? And I was talking about reaction channels who at the time, it was literally just kids posting videos going like this, like watching the video. So that's what I was referring to. He decided it was about him because he made his name off of making fun of children. So like the thumbnails and the titles were always like Baby Ariel, Jacob Sotoria. So he got butthurt about a tweet that wasn't even about him.
Right.
Then he made a diss track about me where he's making fun of my nose, he's saying my voice is annoying, and then he tried to like dig up a joke stealing scandal from me, and then I responded by showing all of his stolen jokes side by side. And like honestly, I love my response diss track. You should watch it. It's really funny.
Oh wow, I gotta get more into that. Wait, but so
when I saw him in person, the whole thing was like, oh, you can talk shit behind a camera, I'm going to battle you to your face.
Right.
So then I walked up to him with my Snapchat, and that's why my Snapchat said, yo, let's battle. Because like to me, if you can talk shit behind a keyboard, say it to my face.
Right.
And I'm not afraid to say it to your face. I would have battled him on the spot and I would have won.
But do you think that he thought that you were just going to like freak out on him? And he thought that you were you coming somewhat good-naturedly? Watch
the video. You can see it in the Snapchat.
Okay.
This is exactly what happened. He's sitting on the couch and I come by and I go, yo, Ricegum, let's battle. Let's battle. Like, you can see it in the video.
Right.
I'm being funny. And the first one, he laughs. And he goes, nah. And, like, it's, like, a jokey, funny thing. But then the second one is where he got really upset. You can see him, like, playing along in the first one. The second one that I don't know if it ever got posted, because I can't remember if that was before or after. But I said to him, what? Are you upset because your ghostwriter's not here? Or you can't battle me because your ghostwriter's not here? And then that's when he was like, delete that. And I said, no, because then he got really aggressive. He's like, right away, as soon as he said delete it, and I said no, he got up and like started twisting my arm and got my phone, and he broke my phone because he didn't want me to post the snap.
Right.
That's why he broke it. But then just the screen was broken, so I still posted it.
Dude, that is kind of crazy, just because it's like, you know that moment where you like go to grab something out of somebody's hand? And then
I don't do that because I'm a grown up.
No, you're right. But like, I feel like I can kind of understand that well, no, I really can't understand. I feel like from his perspective, if he made a diss track about you, regardless of how serious he was, that he has to really be willing to like have like a good natured back and forth. Even if you say something that he doesn't like, that the thing about the ghostwriter, it's like in the course of a rap diss track thing. That's a normal diss. So it's like he has to be able to respond to that in a way that doesn't involve him getting physical. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, like I said, he didn't hit me, but it was aggressive. And like I had marks on my body. Like I was sitting on the couch next to him and he was above me, pushing me down and then twisting my arms. Like that's aggressive. Yeah. If I have marks on my body from your nails in my body from pushing me down, that's too aggressive. Yeah. Regardless of what it is. Like putting hands on somebody, damaging property, I don't know. That's why, again, it was like hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that anybody really was siding with him, especially with the lies that went along with it. She's trying to say I punched her in the face. She said I punched her. No, I specifically said you didn't. Right. Like that. Saying you snatched my phone out of my hand really quick and then admitting to using both hands because I'm holding on and obviously I'm not just going to let go. That doesn't make sense to me. But again, well, this all started with like, is there hate for him? No. Like my career's fine. My life's fine. It made me stronger. It was a really difficult time. And now it's not. You know, now I can joke about it and put it in my roast yourself where I like show a scene of that moment. But it did affect me a lot at the time.
That's what got me thinking about it was when I saw that and you were like, oh, Brian Lee just did to me what you all wanted to do or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck, right. I'd be so ignorant if I didn't know about that and ask her about that. So I had to go catch up on it.
Most people don't because they're like nervous too. But
really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I would have definitely trotted that out just because I think it's interesting. I mean, yeah. So do you think that you and him could ever be on good terms or you think you're just like permanently?
I'm always open to be on good terms with anybody. Like I really am just about positivity, and that's why I approached him at the party in the first place, is because I thought that it would be a funny way to crush that tension. Yeah. Because when I saw him at that party, that was the first time I'd ever seen him face to face. Our only communication was ever he made a diss track about me, and then I did like a slam poetry piece back at him, and then he never responded to it, which I also thought was funny because he always responds when people respond, but mine was like pretty damn good, and he didn't respond.
We have like actual like degree of musical talent, so that might be a little different to break off.
It wasn't musical. It was just it was pretty smart.
Well, slam poetry in general is very intimidating.
Yeah, kind of. It was good. Just watch it. I want to hear your thoughts on it later.
I definitely want to watch that. But
wow, yeah, I think we could be, again, like if I'm always down to be like cool with people. I don't harbor ill feelings toward him now because it doesn't affect my life now. Right. But like I would also, I mean, no, I would never like expect an apology either.
But
I guess.
Him still like, even after that incident occurred, him still criticizing your appearance just seems like, bro, like that is not going to get you your desired outcome on the internet in 2018. Like, I mean, I remember the first time that like I realized like I almost said something like about a girl's appearance, like in the way that I would have in my life as a somewhat known person, and like, you know, being younger and being in high school, all this type of stuff. And then just like almost said something on Twitter and I just looked at it and I'm like, this is a terrible idea. You absolutely cannot do this.
I haven't seen him criticize my appearance, but because I don't look at his stuff.
But
because I don't
the nose thing, like I noticed that he was saying shit about that even after the shit played out, and I'm like, oh my god, like, you should be trying. Even know about it. I was like, you should be trying to like minimize the fucking impact of what you did, not making it worse here, bro.
But like, think about like from his standpoint, why would he? Because he was getting positive reinforcement for doing those things. So what? In order for somebody to grow and change, there needs to be a catalyst for that. And for him, he's getting rewarded for saying these things. Right. And I mean, thank God I'm confident in myself that the nose thing never bothered me. To me, it was more just like, why is this random guy like making fun of the way I look? It was never like,
yeah. Like, but I just think that's so shitty. That's such like a lame level to take it to.
I'm surprised he didn't call me fat. Like I was honestly really surprised because like a lot of my hate comments, not now, but at the time were about my weight. So the fact that he didn't call me fat was actually really impressive to me.
No, that would be worse too.
You probably knew better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just I mean, I
did see though through the when iDubbbz was posting his videos and he was using like clips from Rice, because that's the only clips of Ricegum videos I've seen since that. Right. And like he would randomly put my face in his videos when he like if he said the word irrelevant, he'd like use my picture and I'd be like, still. Yeah. Well, I don't know about still, but like during the iDubbbz time.
I mean, you sort of get into a weird thing in his position where it's like, okay, you have a lot of fans, he has a lot of fans, but there's probably not a lot of overlap Like,
No.
and he's
No.
marketing to his fans.
Yeah.
And so if he says you're a liar or he says whatever about you, like they're very inclined to just take his word for it.
And I never lost a subscriber from any of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like from your fans' perspective, it's like, oh, their Ricegum's a piece of shit. They probably are kind of buying into what
Yeah.
you're saying, but then it doesn't really mess with his thing that much. And it's this sort of weird thing that plays out online where it's like everybody already knows how they're going to feel about something regardless of any sort of proof or fact.
I actually had, I don't know. I mean, yeah, he must have been a Ricegum fan. When I was on book tour, this kid came up to me and he was like so adorable. Like he looked like he could have been a musical star. And this is like my book tour where he like came and like supported me and bought a book to see me. And I don't know if he's a fan of me or not. He's like a literal child. But he came up and his like hand was shaking and I was like, oh my God, he's gonna do something like silly. So he was like, I saw he was recording. Well, he tried to, but he like missed the button. So he said something about, I forget how he asked it, but he asked about Ricegum in some way that like it was clear that he was trying to make fun of me. So I was like, oh, hon, did you mean to press record? And like he looked down and he saw it. He was like, oh, no, I didn't. And I was like, oh, it's okay. And I was like, let's take the picture. And then afterwards, I don't know what compelled me to do this because I would normally never, but I walked up to him. I was like, hold on to the meet and greet line. I was like, listen, you're very young. You're very impressionable. And I just want you to know that this is not how you treat people. And I know that you idolize this person, but if you ever get upset with somebody, do not put your hands on them. Do not break their property. And I just want you to know as a person that that behavior is not acceptable. Like I didn't do it in front of him. I didn't want to embarrass him. But his mom did see that I was talking to him and she came over and she was just like, what's going on? I was like, you can tell her what you want to tell her. Cause like I wasn't gonna like get him in trouble with his mom. But as they were walking away, his mom was just like, what did she just say to you? What just happened? What did you do?
Oh my God.
But I do think that's so important because like his fans, like Ricegum fans straight up, are very young. Like how many like teenage or older people do you know who are like rice bro, like you know what I mean? So like the fact that like these kids have this like role model who it's like the gag is I used to think Ricegum was so funny. Like before like his roast on me that was like weirdly aggressive compared to, and I don't think I'm being biased in saying that because I've talked to other YouTubers who are like, yeah, like Ricegum was always like really lighthearted, but for some reason on yours, like he was really malicious. And I was like, yeah, it felt like that, right? But I thought that what he was doing was like kind of funny and like the people were taking it in stride, like Baby Ariel and like Ari or whatever. But the influence that's being like shown to these young kids is like, it's funny to make fun of people's appearance. It's funny to bully. And, you know, a 9-year-old cute little kid like this kid who walked up to me, who probably is like the most popular kid in school because he's good looking and he's well dressed and like, you know, his hair is well done. Like, he's going in school and he's making fun of the ugly kids. He's making fun of the poor kids. He's making fun of the people who put themselves out there and maybe they do a talent show. And that breaks my fucking heart. And I don't think that that's like the influence. But what can you do?
No, I know we all kind of know it's inevitable that a lot of that kind of stuff is going to play out on YouTube because, you know, there's a certain...
But it doesn't have to.
It's true, but there's a certain degree to which, you know, there's like the commentary that goes on YouTube. Like it's normal to make a video criticizing Donald Trump. It's normal if you made a video criticizing, you know, Phil DeFranco, nobody would say you were bullying. A lot of that Ricegum stuff has not really aged that well, in my opinion, because he came out making all these videos that were actually pretty funny, like making fun of these young ass Musical.ly kids, but then now he's an adult and it's kind of like, oh wait, you're like an adult and you're making videos about like 10-year-olds. Like that seems weird. But
I do think that there was also a dramatic tone shift in his content too, because like I feel like I really genuinely stopped watching his content after he attacked me the first time, but just from what I've seen from like the clips and stuff, he started off where it was like mean but like also funny because like Jacob Sartorius was like a young boy who was like being weirdly sexual and like his facial expressions and responses were funny.
Right.
But then it moved from like comparing Ari to like the Mona Lisa where she doesn't have eyebrows to like really malicious, ugly content of like trying to bring people down. And I think that was... There's a difference. If there's a funny commentary, which I think he started off in funny commentary, to me, that's different than bullying. To me, the line between bullying and comedy is it funny?
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of what he's doing is funny.
Do you remember the age of Leafy?
I do very much.
And that's kind of weird because it's like he very much made his name for himself off just kind of bullying people. And sometimes it was people who kind of deserved it. You know, he's making videos about that racist girl on YouTube.
Yeah.
Remember her? She always, I think about her all the time.
I used to watch Leafy. I was like very fascinated by that whole thing. So I used to watch it. Yeah.
That was like when I first really got into like the YouTube community of watching all that shit. Yeah. I mean, his channel got fucking obliterated.
Yeah, it really did. And I don't, why?
Well,
I mean, besides, like, it was the whole, like, Keemstar grade A.
I think the algorithm like really turned against him around the time of the demonetization stuff. Like his views just like went to shit.
But why? Because he still had like long videos that kids were watching.
But I think YouTube was targeting him because of the bullying and stuff, so they stopped really giving him exposure. And then I think at the same time, probably a lot of people sort of started to just be like,
does YouTube do that though? Because I feel like YouTube still like favors Ricegum.
Maybe they don't consider him to be as like deplorable, but I feel like YouTube definitely, like when they can just flick a switch and just decide that a channel like doesn't deserve to get the same type of exposure. I feel like that happens.
No, it does.
Yeah,
for sure.
Which is a shame.
I think they're getting much better with it, but at the same time, I mean, freedom of speech, yes, empowerment, but like with a channel that is just harassing somebody that is against the guidelines. So if they did choose to shut down Leafy's channel because he was constantly just harassing people, then that's well within their right to do it.
And I think if Leafy were making videos like that, like he used to right now, that YouTube would be very fast to strike some of those videos and take them down when they just really feel like pure bullying, you know?
Yeah. I also think that Leafy gave up really quickly after all of the drama, though. Yeah. And I think that's what kind of hurt him, too, because when he tried to come back, it was like maybe too late.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's doing.
A lot of people like him, they they sort of like get off the treadmill for a second and like what they really were bringing to the table, they don't have enough leverage to be able to walk away from it for a few months.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like if you went away for a few months, like, yeah, you would experience a dip in views and stuff when you came back, but you would probably get it back pretty quick.
Yeah, it definitely depends on what type of content you're creating.
Yeah.
Like people, when you watch somebody bully somebody for so long, I think that is like fun for a minute. But like when you build a community, like I love my viewers so much because they love me. Like I'm a personality channel. Your
channel's all about you. There's no channel without you, you know.
Yeah, and I don't like, that's like somebody one time asked me on stage, like, what do you have to say about like the Ricegum thing? And I used to tell people like, don't ask me about it, I don't want to talk about it just because I don't want to be in the drama. But I just said like, when you look at my channel, my #1 video is my face and my name, and I did it on myself. Like look at all my top videos, they're me, and like that's why I'm proud of my content.
No, that is important. No, for real, I understand that. That's what people say. Have always tried to say about me is like, you get more videos. Like your view count basically depends on who you're interviewing. Which I mean, there's a lot of truth to that.
Also, like a very different medium, though. Yeah, like obviously, like if you're interviewing somebody that nobody cares about, watch this one gets no views.
Yeah. No, they'll probably age restrict us or something for no reason.
I hope not. God. Let me get naked.
No, thank God you don't have any cleavage shown, because I'm really convinced that YouTube like is so anti-boob at this point.
Oh, they have technology where it measures the level of flesh tone.
Insane.
Yeah, that's like a real thing. So like if that's how they monitor nudity, essentially.
Because I had like a video age restricted where I interviewed this girl, Distorted. She's like a really amazing artist. She's like a visual artist. She paints and everything. And like, you know, her interview, there was absolutely nothing sexual about it aside from the fact that she does have large breasts and she was wearing a shirt where she kind of had to like adjust them a good amount. Yeah. And I was like beyond offended when I saw this because this is nothing sexual. And I just, the same exact week, last week, I had this porn star on, Nicolette Shea, exact same thing. She has really, really big boobs.
Did you talk about porny things though?
See, that's why I didn't try to fight it like in the court of public discussion when it came.
Porn star, yeah.
Yeah, well, because I'm like asking her about like a lot of like porn related things. Like, oh, she's like, oh, like
I wonder why this video was demonetized.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna do a gangbang this year. I'm gonna do anal this year. I just like started to think about that. I'm like, maybe I don't want to hit my MCN up and tell them that I think I've been wrong in this case.
Right, dude. I'm so interested in the porn industry, but I feel like I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to get you demonetized.
No, it's good. And actually, you should come to the. We're going to the AVN Awards this year in January.
Is that porn awards?
Yes, you should come.
Dude, I'm so fascinated by the world of porn. Like the fact that you're just
blast.
Like. It's so interesting. Like the fact that she's like, this year I'm going to do anal. And it's like this exciting like step up. It's like I worked my way up and now I'm going to do anal and then I'm going to do a gangbang. And that's like the goals. And I think that's so fucking cool.
Dude, porn just like is so interesting to me and deserves to be like examined more because there are so many weird things about it on like a sociological level. And like my experience going last year is basically like, because my girl was like having a really good time getting dressed up in all these crazy outfits and stuff, and so we'd be just walking through this like through the Hard Rock, you know, ballroom or whatever, like because the actual convention is like in the hotel, and it's like the greatest collection of like really weird pervy dudes that you've ever seen in your life all congregate here just to like sit there like
I got an offer from Pornhub once.
To do what?
Sex tape.
Really?
Yeah, and they asked me an offer. There's like, I think they offered me $2 million to do it. And then I was like, oh, that wouldn't be enough. Like, I was just like having fun with myself at this moment. I would not. And they go, what's your price? And I said 10, because I was like, oh, there's no way they would ever pay me 10 million. And they said, cool, come in. Like, let's get the contract going. And I was like, hold on. Do I got to change my career?
This is real?
Dead ass. I wonder if I still have the email.
And you decided that you didn't want to do the $10 million deal?
To ruin my career forever. I'll make $1 million. You know what I mean?
Next week, yeah. No, but I mean, that's just...
Because then your career's over and you have nowhere to go.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Unless you want to be in porn,
but there's all these
obviously.
porn clips of me and my girlfriend on the internet, and for some reason it feels like nobody cares.
Wait, I have to find this.
I mean, people definitely care, but I don't feel like I'm like losing out on opportunities just because you can see my penis on Pornhub.
Fuck, I deleted it.
Did you really?
I'm so sad.
Dude, 2
Literally
million.
10 million.
10 million.
The fact that they came in with 2 million is like insane, but they probably know what YouTubers make, so they're like, oh, we can't offer like 10,000 because she didn't do it.
It's so weird that like Pornhub's like whole business model or whatever, a lot of these porn companies is sort of based on like just trying to get a big star to do porn, because if they destroy their career, not destroy it, or in any way it affects their career, it's just this thing that they can blow out and market and stuff, and that's the real value of it, is like, let's get headlines.
Yeah, 100%. That's so fucking wild, dude. What if I would have done it?
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
I mean, 10 million's a lot. I feel like you could take the 10 million, give like
Honestly,
5 of it to the starving kids in Africa, and
if
then
I would have loved my body more at that point, who knows?
Really? See, to me, I'm like so woke and progressive that it's just hard for me to even think it's that bad to do porn. Like I'm completely like separated from the way that normal people think about it now.
Well, I don't think that like, I think if you're somebody who's very happy in porn, and I think it's a career, it's career. Like, do you? I have nothing against that. For me, because of the things that I would like to do in my life, it wouldn't make sense for me to do porn, because then once you're in porn, you can't really like go out and be a musician, and then people are going to like take you seriously.
I think you've kind of come far enough that you probably shouldn't like regress. And then like if you had decided, but then again, if you had done porn to start your career, you wouldn't have got the $1 million offered to you.
No,
So
not at all.
unfortunately, yeah.
So who knows? Someday.
Did people know about the porn offer?
No, I never talked about it.
Wow, that's a good
Yeah.
like, that's a video right there, although you're gonna have to like creatively title it.
But that's also like 5 seconds of story. Like, oh, Pornhub offered me something, and then I gave them a crazy number, and then they said okay. That's literally the story. If I would have went into the office,
then you have
damn it, I should have gone into the offices.
Yeah.
Pornhub, I hope you're not watching.
Because I was about to say that a lot of your videos seem like basically like 5 seconds of information that you just like add so much like little details, and like, and then I walk in the laundry, man, there's a guy staring at me. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem?
And that's how you do story time. I've never lied in a story time, but I obviously like add so many details that like add to the story.
Yeah.
That's the thing. People always think that story time people are lying, you know, some of them are. But they're like, there's no way that much crazy shit happens to you. And I'm like, that much crazy shit happens to you. You're just a level-headed, sane person, so you don't like. For me,
you're just an orator. You're able to add those details and make it interesting, which I've always kind of noticed that about myself too. But then like I want to make videos like the kind you make, but then when I try a lot, or when I try to think of ideas, I basically just have like wild sex stories and drug stories, and
but those are interesting, and
totally,
that's your brand.
but
so why
sometimes I
not?
think that they would make me just look a little too crazy talking about shit like that.
I don't
sometimes.
think so. I think you look crazy anyways.
Well, yeah, that's definitely true. But sometimes I just don't want to like make a real like with you, your story times are not necessarily this crazy shit. So it's like it's cool, but with me, it's like if I make a story time that's about like you staying up for 48 hours and doing a shitload of coke, and there was an orgy and a fight and all this, it's just like I don't know if I want to put myself out there like that and like really emphasize my worst behavior throughout my life.
Save it for your memoir.
Yeah. But do you think about that, I've thought about like, you know, the book thing. Like I want to write, I know you've like written stuff, but like writing like a real book about your life, but then it would just take so fucking long, and it would be so much easier to just do a YouTube video like that. I feel like the YouTube video has like stopped my writing career in its tracks.
That's actually so interesting, because people have told me to write a memoir, and every story that I would tell in a memoir that I'm willing to share at this point, I've told on the internet.
Right.
But I will write a memoir later, probably called, I won't say the title yet, but it's going to be the stories that like I couldn't share yet because like my grandma's still living and she would kill me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like shit. When I think about stuff like that, like my stories aren't just about me. They're also like my family's not an extension of me. So if I'm telling a story about my family, I have 4 younger siblings in school, and
Very
that directly
true.
affects them.
Yeah.
So I just need to wait until like everyone's graduated and like living and doing their own thing.
Totally. Like I have stories that I could tell just about like, you know, sort of childhood trauma in terms of like fighting with my dad and stuff. And then I'm just like thinking in my head, is like, do you really want to like smear your dad who's like living and talk about all this bullshit that happened between you as a kid?
Yeah.
It seems kind of fucked up to like utilize that for that.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. But I think that I probably will at some point, and it'll be worth it. But I think those stories are important too, because like I read a book when I was a little bit younger called The Glass Castle, and it was about this girl who grew up in like a very abusive home, and they were very poor, and you know, their parents were concerned about things more than they were concerned about them, and blah blah blah. And like reading that book made me feel something very important, where I was like, oh, she's like a famous author now, and like she has a husband and she's happy, and like she got out of that and she had the same experience. So I do think sharing those stories are very important, but I also think that it needs to be at the right time.
Yeah. And I also just feel like the whole book thing, it feels like you should have like a solid arc in your life, like a soul story. Like you're very much still in the middle of what you've done. Like granted, you're like a very successful YouTuber, but you're still really working on the music thing and stuff. And it feels like it would be strange to write a book when you're still very much in the middle of creating the version of you.
That is such a good point.
Yeah.
Wow. That is actually so true. Because a lot of people make memoirs, they're like 19.
Exactly. And it's like, bro, you haven't done anything. And that's why it's kind of weird, because like my advice to them would be like move to Europe and like get addicted to drugs and like do a bunch of crazy shit. And like you just need a story. Like you're just not interesting enough to write a book. I'm sorry. And even like a YouTuber, like if you're 18 or 19, it's like you might be like just like with Tana, like I watched her first ever video and it's just like, holy fuck, you were born to do this.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you just don't have anything at 18 to talk
I
about.
agree.
And that's
even
a challenge.
and like you said, even if you do have when I was 18, I probably could have written a book of stories, but it doesn't have a conclusion yet. And I think that's such a powerful point of like, this isn't my conclusion. Why am I writing a book about my life?
Right. It's kind of weird. You got to like get out there and live before you could actually really write about it. I just want to mention the girl in 8th grade when she's doing her YouTube videos
Elsie?
and she's just stuttering to the camera and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so relatable. And
It's so good. And the Gucci thing at the end.
Gucci.
She wrote that. Bo Burnham was like, he was like, she did that on her own. That was not written. She just like wanted to do it.
Right.
And I don't know what it means, but.
No, that is like such a thing that like a little girl right now would think was like a cute, clever thing to say on camera. There's just so much writing in there. When the teacher walks in the room and just does the dab real quick, and it's just like, oh my God.
So fucking good.
Because I haven't been in school in a very long time, but that's exactly how I imagine it being, with these cringy ass teachers trying to relate to the internet.
Dude, the shooting scene was so weird.
Super weird.
So bizarre.
To
I
think
would
that kids
love
do that.
Yeah, I would love to sit in on one of those and just like watch, because that is, oh my God. It's so eerie, but then also the way that Bo did it, where it was literally like these kids didn't give a fuck. They're just like texting and talking to their friends, and like they don't understand the gravitas of like, this is preparing for somebody to come in and kill you.
Yeah.
God, fuck, to be a
That's how
teenager
we were
today.
when we were kids too. Is that I didn't give a shit about. You couldn't scare me into being scared of a terrorist attack. When I was like a 13, I would be like, "Fuck that! I don't fucking care. I'm listening to NWA. Leave me alone."
Do you remember, how old were you in 9/11?
I was like 17.
What was that like for you?
I mean, I was like 4 or 5 hours away from New York, where I grew up. But I mean, yeah, it was crazy. Just like,
Wait, where'd you grow up?
I grew up like right outside Boston in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. I was in Pennsylvania, so we're like 5 hours away too.
Oh yeah. That'll do it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was scary. I was just like, it was. Dude,
I felt no fear.
Really?
I like didn't get it, because I remember when like the teachers turned on the
like
TV.
10.
Yeah, but like my entire class was like, I think I was 12 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, something around there. Or no, maybe you're right. But either way, like I remember everybody was crying in class, and like I didn't get it, because what I felt like I was watching, I was like, wait, we always watch terrible shit happen on the news. Why are we like freaking out? I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then like obviously I learned, like my parents came and took me out of school, and they like told us like there's a terrorist attack. Like we've never had an attack like this on American soil. I'm like, oh, it's like a big deal. So then the next day we went to class, and the teacher asked us, so does anybody not understand why this is happening or what's happening or something? And I raised my hand because I was just like I understood what was happening, but he's explaining, he's like, okay, so there's a terrorist attack, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, I know. Why? And like, that was like what I was thinking, is like when he asked me like, why is this happening? I was like, why is this happening? Like, why did they like do that? Does anybody know yet like why that happened?
Well, They hate America.
And like, are you a 9/11 conspiracy theorist?
Hell no.
Hell no.
I'm on the
so
opposite
interested
side
in
of
all conspiracies, but
I'm of the controversial ass opinion that religious beliefs can potentially be dangerous and cause thousands of people to die. So
no, they can't. 100%. I mean, there's no doubt. Like, there's suicide bombers in religion.
It's
like,
just
100%.
a bunch of sick fuck religious dudes who really believe some bullshit and they're going crazy.
Yeah.
You know? I think that's why the conspiracy market for that became so big, was because the harsh reality of like, no, there's just like people that like have access to money and can hijack planes and really do stuff like this.
But isn't there also the agenda where people want everybody to hate Middle Eastern people so much that they would want that to be like a, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do believe that, like, you know, certainly it's convenient for some people, but I just also think that definitely, like, it definitely happened. You know, like, and I mean,
people died.
Yeah, there's issues with anything. I mean, any kind of, like, you know, religious belief is just dangerous to me, and that's part of why I've always just been an atheist, is because I just think that, like, once you have these, like, beliefs that, like, when people fall into it, that they'll just, like, I don't believe that those people are evil. That's the main thing. I don't think that they're evil. I think they just sincerely believe that
They believe it.
Yeah, they really believe it. And then when you believe something so much and it tells you that you need to kill yourself to accomplish that goal, then that's a really, really scary thing.
I think so too. And I've always said that exact same thing, where it's just like, I had like existential crises, whatever, when I was younger. Even in fact, around that time, I remember, because like everybody always says that their religion is the right religion. I think that's when I first started struggling with the idea of being like, I'm a Catholic, or like I'm this or that. Was like, okay, well, I'm being raised that this is right, but I have a Jewish friend and they're raised to believe that that is right. So like one of us is wrong, and I don't like to think that either one of us is going to go to hell because we were told something and we believed it.
Right.
It's so crazy. Like I was raised to believe that if you like weren't Catholic, you weren't going to heaven.
Right.
And that seems like a very sad way to live.
Exactly. Like, I mean, that's what I just had such a hard time with as a kid, because I took everything very literal. And it's like a lot of kids, they're able to just be like, oh yeah, like Jesus, that's cool, whatever. And for me, it's like I immediately like I had to really believe it if I was going to be into it. And I was like really trying to like study religion. Even I was like an 11 or 12-year-old. I was like really trying to read the Bible, really trying to understand, you know, I was just like reading magazines and stuff, trying to wrap my head around it. And it's just at a really young age, I was like, this is not doing it for me.
But it's also so weird how many religions have the same stories. That's another thing there where it's like, dude, you guys are agreeing and you don't even know. Like, like Noah and the Ark, like that's a very Christian thing. But if you study like Greek mythology and like other religions, they have a story about a flood and the boat that saved them, and like putting two of each animal, and it's not Noah and the Ark. But there's something to that where it's like, well, why does everybody have the same story? And if we all have the same story, whether it's true or an allegory or what, why are we fighting about it? It just doesn't make sense.
Because I think just religion is just man's first attempt at it's man's first attempt at trying to figure out the world. And like when you think about how confusing the world must have seemed to people in that time period where they really didn't have access to any sort of like scientific knowledge or anything,
or television or something to entertain themselves.
Yeah, and they come up with the fucking wackiest shit, and it's like somehow our existence in 2018, we're still being punished for the wild ass shit that people believed thousands of years ago because people don't want to let go of their traditions.
Yeah, ever.
Which is nice.
Hopefully. Love that.
I love that for you. Okay. This is a long ass one. I don't even know how long we've been going.
How long was it?
Is it like 2.5 hours?
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit.
I'm so sorry. I talk so much.
We're on some Joe Rogan shit. That shit was like, I felt like it was wrapping up like an hour ago, and then we got into the Ricegum stuff.
I'm sorry.
It was back at it. No, that was great. That was amazing.
Do you think I got myself in trouble? Am I going to be in drama?
No, I think you're great. But I'm kind of like, it's weird in my head because I'm thinking like, damn, I can't believe that her fans, some significant percentage of her fans, are going to watch me talk to her for 2.5 hours. Like, that still trips me out.
Why?
Not just because it's like crazy to think that like people who are not the kind of people who would normally watch my videos, that like a bunch of them are going to get exposed to this for the first time. It's
well,
just
I
like,
hope they like you.
It's a beautiful thing. I love YouTube. Let me tell you.
Yeah, me too. Collaboration, man.
Collabs.
I wonder how many people are watching you that literally don't have any idea who I am, except for the girl that lied about Ricegum.
They're thinking, Adam, when are you going to play my song? Because I donated $75 like 4 hours ago.
Oh, damn. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all right. They can deal with it. But I do see this thumbnail right here. Tyga gives up his hairline transplant plug after Nicki Minaj exposes him.
Wait, where do you see the whole headline? I only see half of it.
Yeah, I only see half of it, but I can kind of guess what the rest of it is. So, because Nicki Minaj exposed Tyga for getting his hairline done.
No.
Yeah.
Why?
Because her ex Safari, she said that you got your hairline done the same place, the same day as Tyga or some shit, which is weird because nobody knew that Tyga had one.
Oh my God.
It's way more common than you'd think.
I feel so. Every man should get hair plugs if he can afford him and if it will make him happy.
But when I say it's way more common than you think, I mean that it seems like it's very common amongst black celebrities because
they have hairline plugs?
Well, their hairline starts to get fucked up, and I think it's kind of like easier to fix than like white dude fucked up hairline thing.
Is it?
I don't know if it's actually easier, but I do notice a fairly high percentage of like older black guys who are celebrities getting it. It's probably true of like older white guys. Is it the
plugs or is it the micropigmentation?
I don't know.
Oh, the Fuzi got the micropigmentation.
He got a literal head tattoo of hair follicles from a woman who was using a regular tattoo needle and didn't even use like the special super fine one you're supposed to use.
Yeah, you need the micropigmentation.
That's why he had to get his entire head lasered after he got it done.
Wait, he got his whole head lasered?
There's multiple vlogs about it. I would highly recommend. I watch them.
They're entertaining.
It's insane. Yeah, it's the craziest shit ever.
I don't watch YouTube, man. I gotta get in it.
You gotta watch the Fuzi Tube Ricegum diss.
I watched that.
That's funny.
You mean I watched that whole. I was following that very closely.
That was a fantastic
experience.
But
that song is a Ricegum diss.
Yeah, and that's why it would have been so weird because Fuzi was trying to get Ricegum and FaZe Banks and all of them to come to his event. So and the whole point of that event was to premiere that song. So the whole point of the event was to premiere a Ricegum diss track in front of Ricegum.
But he says it's not a diss track though, right?
Yeah, but I mean like it so clearly
he says
is.
It's satire or something. He wrote it in the description. I read it. And I actually know. When you read it, you're like, okay, I can understand why. Like, he makes it sound in a way like, okay, I could see that maybe that's what you're doing, but also not.
I mean, there's so many things about like that song. When he originally put that song up, it said in the description that it was going to get 400 million views. There was just like a list of things.
He's doing The Secret. That's what he's doing. I don't think that's one misconception I think that people are getting from this whole thing is I think that people think that like Fuzi is like, this is gonna happen because whatever. I think what he's doing, and he says it, is he's putting the energy out into the universe so it will happen. So when I don't think he's delusional to the point where he's like, this is gonna be the most played thing, blah, 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 blah. He's putting the energy and the intent out. The Secret is bullshit. I'm sorry, Fuzi.
No,
it's bullshit.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah, like there is no way to manipulate energy in that way. But when you write stuff down or you say it out loud, you hold yourself accountable in a way that you act differently in order to meet that goal.
And that's the part that I totally agree with about, manifesting things or whatever. But when you take it to the extent of being super literal, like I'm going to put out a flyer with Drake on it.
And Drake will show up.
And that is just, you're like literally breaking the law.
When's the J. Cole thing?
Yeah.
When is that?
I don't know if he's still pretending that that's going to happen. I think he said September 15th.
Okay, so we have to see.
We have to see. That's going to be a whole nother thing.
Is anybody else rooting for him? Because I am. I want him to walk out on J. Cole's stage.
I was sort of rooting for it before. I feel like I don't know if I were J. Cole, I don't know if I would want to do that. It's my personal brand.
Probably not. But like how, like, if that actually happened, wouldn't you be like...
That's how I felt about the original FuziCon. It was like, I don't really see how this is going to work out for you, but I hope it works out for you, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to document it either way. And then obviously...
Has he been posting or has he been silent?
Yeah, he's been posting a lot, and actually like his recent content I think has been like the super depressed thing.
Oh, has it?
Of him like sort of maybe realizing like, oh, maybe I'm not going to be able to do all this crazy stuff I've been saying. So there's been some twists and turns in the Fuzi storyline, but it's hard to watch his videos, I'm going to be honest.
I don't watch any YouTube, so I don't watch his, but I genuinely hope he's okay, and I hope he's healing and happy and good.
I would like to see him get to a more stable point and see what that's like, because I do think that like with his fan base and everything, he could like build a business and stuff and accomplish
what he wants to.
He wants to be a motivational speaker. It's like, I don't think that's totally out of the question, but I think he needs to get his mind right before he's going to be able to actually accomplish something like that,
I think that Fuzi has the power to be an amazing motivational speaker because he has been through the ringer. He has been through the most. He's had the ups and downs. He's believed in himself. And I think that if he would get it together, actually do realistic game plans, not do like the flexing, not doing the like huge gestures all at once. I think he has so much power, and I am rooting for him to truly come out, do it the right way, get his shit together, and show people I was in this place and now I'm here. Because I think that's an amazing story, what he's doing.
Totally. I think we're thinking the same thing right now.
What is it?
You should date Fuzi.
I'm not dating for a year. And also he has a girlfriend.
That is a good point. Shout out to Simi. She's so
Hi,
sweet.
Simi. She is sweet.
She's really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, this has been an incredible. This is way more in depth than like I can't imagine. I can't believe how good our rapport was. We just really
You're
just
a cool guy.
jumped right. I didn't say the No Jumper Coolest podcast in the world thing like I always do.
What is it?
I just always say No Jumper Coolest podcast in the world to start it, but
the
like
beginning?
we just started talking and I forgot.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all
You
right.
can say it right now.
No Jumper Coolest podcast in the world.
That was sick.
Check us out on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. There's something about saying something like thousands of times that sort of like allows you like a greater ability over those words, and you can just really
finesse them.
that feels good, you know?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to tell the people at home to go check out that you've been working on that you just really want to make sure that they know about?
Sure, of course. Check out the new music video up, download, stream, share, and that's it. Just the music right now.
I love Cher. That video with her wearing the black leather on the boat.
I didn't see it.
Oh, damn. You should check it out. Cher's
Google
hard,
it.
man. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. And one more question. Is it improper for me to title it The Gabbie Show Interview?
I go
Or
by
the
Gabbie Hanna.
Gabbie Hanna now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
yeah.
rebranded it a while ago, but people do what you want.
I'll throw it in the description and the tags and everything. Also,
Yeah.
we'll SEO it out.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm like an alpha,